All right, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. I hope you're all doing well. It's time for another episode of Speedruns From the Crypt, your bi-weekly horror hotfix. I'm your host, Dices, and we have a lot of fun games for you tonight. First, I do want to say welcome back from SGDQ. I know it ended about a couple weeks ago now, but this is our first show back since, the last major SGDQ events. If you did miss the fun of that, don't you worry. There are more GDQ events coming up. In fact, we do have Frame Fatales 2025. Frame Fatales is a GDQ's all-women and femme speedrunning community, and is preparing for the next Flame Fatales, running from September 7th to the 14th. The schedule is now live at gamesdonequick.com/schedule/58. Or you can type !FF in chat for more information on that. As well, we do have Black and Flash, a community that uplifts and connects Black speedrunners of all levels, hosting special events throughout the year to raise money for charity and celebrate Black voices in the speedrunning scene. You can learn more or apply to get involved at gdq.gg/BAF. Alrighty, so today is going to be rather simple. We're doing a bunch of games that are just kind of a welcome back to GDQ. These speedruns are pretty cool. We have a nice variety of things from like really extreme horror, some classic stuff, and even some, let's say, horror adjacent stuff, because some people get really picky on what horror is. We're going to have Dead Space 2, Bloodstained, and Haunting Ground. Anyway, to kick things off, we're going to be opening with Dead Space 2 any% with Sharkhat87. Take it away.
All right, thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Sharkhat87, and we are indeed going to be playing some Dead Space 2. So we can go ahead and get started. I can explain what we're doing as we get started here. So time does not start until we actually gain control of our character. So I'm actually going to go ahead and load in here, select difficulty, and I'll give a countdown in a second here. So time is going to begin in about 3, 2, 1. Go. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, all right. So Dead Space 2, we're doing some any% casually, so I'm gonna select casual difficulty. That is the fastest, mostly just because enemies are easier and things like that. We also skipped the intro. If you played this game, you might have noticed that. That's a mod where we basically tell the game to, there's a value in memory that sets your new game checkpoint. Basically, when you start a new game, it puts you there. You can put it wherever you want, technically, but fortunately, we get a checkpoint right after the 4-minute intro cutscene. So a few years ago, we decided to just allow changing that to start right from there. It's very nice. So we get right into action, picking up a little bit, a few years after Dead Space 1. So we're playing as Isaac Clarke, for a space engineer, basically. But we also have been using these experiments to build these things called markers, which, control these alien zombie things called necromorphs, sort of the main enemies of the game. But for now, we're trying to escape the hospital here. We get to meet one of our favorite characters here, Edgar, who's gonna... I was gonna say explain what's going on, but basically what's going on is everyone who's running the station kind of wants to cover up all the experiments and everything they're doing, so they kind of want to kill all the people that were involved, which includes us, unfortunately. So we'll see how that goes in a second here. But yeah, right off the bat, after this cutscene, we're gonna start doing some of the first glitches. Well, there's an elevator too, but pretty much right after that. So the first main glitch is flashlight duping, which we're actually only gonna do twice. It's a really, really powerful glitch, but out of the first chapter, we can't use it anymore, unfortunately. But basically, when you pick up the flashlight, and this is actually the first time you do it, is used in like an intended way. Like they want you to do it to get out of this cutscene. But when you pick up the flashlight, it basically breaks you out of any cutscene, or it interrupts any animation that you're in. So, for example, this cutscene. So that's how they get you out of this. Now, the thing is, the way they pull it up is through the Restore Health tutorial, because we're gonna get some tutorials here telling us how to play the game, right? So you'll see, it tells us, interact to open the locker, and then once we pick up, once we hit Restore Health, we can pick up the flashlight. Now, the thing is, there's a menu in the game where you can like reopen all the tutorials that you've looked at before. So if you open the Restore Health tutorial again, and you use it, it actually spawns the flashlight in again. It's a little bit of a exploit. I don't think they intended for you to do that.
How do you know all this about me?
And so that means we can pick up the flashlight multiple times. We don't even need to be by that locker. We can just pick it up wherever on the map. So we're going to use that to skip like 2 cutscenes. It goes by pretty fast. Before we get to that, I'm also going to skip a tutorial by aiming here. Hopefully, there we go. It's a bit hard to see in this room, but I'm going to try to do a little bit of light platforming like that just to take a little bit of a shortcut. And here we go. The flashlight dupe is coming up here. So I'm going to pull up the tutorials menu, queue up this tutorial. When I use it, the flashlight spawns. I can pick it up during that cutscene just like that to skip it. And I'm going to set up another one here. So I used the tutorial, so the flashlight spawned way back there in the other room. I have to be careful not to press interact here or we'll actually stand up in the vent and soft lock us. So I want to try to time this once the cutscene of us falling out of the vent starts, and then we're going to have to reload the checkpoint because I can show it for like a second here, but the camera actually breaks here and goes towards your feet. So I can't, you know, it gets all crazy, right? So we got to reload to fix that. And then now we're going to get kinesis. So that's the ability that lets you, you know, pick up stuff and throw it. We cannot flashlight dupe from this point on because for some reason, when you pick up the flashlight, it's coded to remove kinesis from your character. So we need kinesis to beat the game, basically, is the, you know, is where I'm getting with this. So yeah, unfortunately, we cannot flashlight dupe anymore. It is a very cool glitch, but we got a bunch of other cool glitches we can do. So now that we have, not really a weapon, but we have the flashlight, which also says aim now. And we have kinesis. We have everything we need to beat the level. So we're gonna do a trick called Cha-Cha Slide Skip. And the reason it's called that is because we're gonna stomp twice, which actually sets up the timing for hitting this elevator. And I'll explain this more later too, but we drop the FPS and abuse the physics of running into the wall there while the elevator pushes us down to get out of bounds. And then I'm gonna try to open this door just like that while falling out of bounds to load the level back in. And then just reload to make everything loaded back in. So I'll explain more what just happened in a bit more, but we have the hardest boss in the game. I'm not joking, this actually is the hardest boss to do in the speedrun. We don't have a gun, so we need to throw props at his arms, which if that sounds silly, I mean, it is, but this is the fastest way we have to defeat him. If he cooperates and we don't mess up, we can still do it pretty fast though, as you can see there. And that's chapter 1. So we also cannot flashlight dupe after this level. There's a second reason, and that is that the flashlight has to, there we go. Make sure I'm grabbing these money drops here. The flashlight has to actually be able to spawn in, and once we leave this level, it's no longer spawned in anymore. So as great as it would be to break out of basically every other cutscene in the game, we're not going to be able to do that. What we can do here, though, is finally buy the plasma cutter. We were supposed to get that in chapter 1, but we kind of skipped it. So I'm going to do that here. Bought the right one, right? Oh, okay. Yes, I did. Okay, hold on. Okay. There we go. Okay, sorry. There's 2 of them in the store there. One of them is a DLC one we're not technically supposed to use. I mean, in this case, it doesn't really matter, but I kind of messed up on my muscle memory there. So it, yeah, that's fine. Anyway, brand new strategy here, actually. Shout outs to Looney. I saw him in the chat for kind of rediscovering this and timing it and finding this recently. So I interacted with the elevator button through the wall there, so you can see the level over there is deloaded. This starts a kind of scripted sequence here, and it turns out it's actually faster to start it a bit earlier there and then get in the elevator. And you'll see it's pretty buggy. This opens, you can kind of see out of bounds. We can't actually see the guy that is getting attacked. I can call the elevator up, but basically the elevator going up the second time, like after you watch the cutscene, is a bit faster. So we get up here a second or two faster. Now we're gonna do something called a wall boost to get out of bounds here. If you run into certain geometry and your frame rate's high enough, so in this case like around 60 or higher, you can gain a little bit of height off the ground and then be able to climb after that over the wall. So you're gonna see that a few more times in the run, that kind of trick. Probably not for a little bit here, but yeah, that's called a wall boost. We'll see that again. Here we pretty much gotta, for one of the first times in the run, kind of just do the intended thing, which is to kill the enemies here. Obviously, we're gonna try to do it as fast as possible because we know exactly where they spawn. And for these last two guys, I'm gonna try to use this explosive to kill this guy a little bit faster because they sort of have the closest thing I can describe it or compare it to is like kind of like armor, I guess, in fighting games. I don't know if it's an exact comparison, but I don't know. Well, okay, not to go on too much of a tangent. I'm more of a Smash player. I don't really play a lot of traditional fighting games. I don't know if the terminology translates, so bear with me. But basically, the enemies cannot be killed. You have to deal a certain amount of damage to kind of for it to actually go through. So the explosive is the only thing we have that'll actually deal enough damage to kill him. If you just shoot him there, it doesn't do anything, and you have to wait until he's fully out of that animation of getting out of the vent. We're doing hack panels here. I actually missed that last one, which is really funny. But these can be in random, or they are always in random spots. So you kind of just have to move the aim thing around until you find it. It's one of the only big pieces of randomness in these runs, or particularly this run. Most things are pretty consistent. I mean, there's some random enemy spawns and things. There is one trick about halfway through that is a pretty big random element in the run, but other than that, there's really not a lot of randomness in the run, which is nice. But we will see a few more of those hack panels. We do skip a lot of them as well, which is nice. For the rest of the train here, it's pretty straightforward. Now we can kind of just run forward. Again, we're finally getting to a few sections in the run where we're sort of playing as intended. Obviously, you're not supposed to just run past everything because it is a horror game, after all. We are going to have to take out one enemy here after this quick time event. Now, if you reload the checkpoint here, you can actually just run through here without having to stop, but otherwise you do have to shoot that guy. He gets out a little bit too fast. There are a few strategies or variations on tricks you'll see me do in this run, where if you've seen this run before, like you've seen world record attempts and things like that, they might look a little bit different. The reason for that is, timing method's different. Mainly, for leaderboards, we time with loads removed. So, with loads removed, there's some things that are faster. There's not a ton of that in this game, but there are a few checkpoints you can reload that do save time with the load cut out. In this case, it's, in real time sitting here, it is faster just to not do that. But just wanted to point that out because there's a couple little details like that. For this sequence, we got to kill these enemies while having to deal with the controls being a little wonky as you sway here. I'm also trying to grab as much ammo as I can. We haven't really talked about the weapon routing yet, but we need 20,000 credits, which is just the money in the game. We need 20,000 credits to buy 2 guns coming up here, and ideally have a little bit of ammo left over. So I guess there's a little bit of luck there as well, but it's usually not too bad. The only thing that can really go wrong is if you just don't have enough.
This won't be the most pleasant route, but it'll get you to.
That's also a relatively new thing there, where we started killing that guy on the floor, because we need to kill 16 enemies here.
You're very important to the market.
And that other guy does not count towards clearing the room. But if you don't kill him there, he'll follow you in here and kind of get in your way. Now, if you get really lucky and just don't hit that, just don't shoot him at all, he will not have movement through the room that gets in your way, but it doesn't always work out that way. So sometimes I opt to take him out there. So now we can't progress until this video call is done. So we're gonna take this time to use the store. So I'm just trying to sell my extra ammo, clean up my inventory, and that should be good. I can buy those 2 guns. So we got the line gun and the javelin gun. The line gun is super broken. We're going to use it for a few skips later, and it's also just a very good weapon. The javelin gun, we're not going to use that much, but it saves a little bit of time to pick it up. It wouldn't be a massive loss if we didn't get it, but it does save a little bit of time, so if we have enough money, might as well just go ahead and grab it. We're going to do another hack panel here. Let's see if I can not miss this one. So let's see.
Okay, I'll be careful.
So again, I know that it's one of the 8 directions here that it can be in. So usually I'll just pick one, just kind of guess, and then just spin around in a circle until I see the blue light flicker. After you do it for a while, you can kind of just go around till you see it, try to react to it, and then just kind of flick in the direction. Because you don't have to just move it in a circle. You can flick either direction you want with the mouse. So you can kind of try to... If you're going around really quickly, you can try to flick over to it, but it is a bit riskier sometimes. But yeah, so we're going to try to clear this room here by shooting that glass and then closing the decompression vent. Might look kind of random. I guess it sort of is, but for whatever reason, closing that makes the vent open a little bit faster. Okay, so we did a little bit of low FPS shenanigans earlier. We're going to do another trick called a save station clip that uses a similar thing here. So after dropping the FPS, we're going to move forward, aim, unaim, and then try to interact with the save station. And there's a weird interaction that happens when you do that with the low FPS as well. I mean, you can do it without, but the low FPS helps you abuse the momentum a little bit easier to get through. And then I'm gonna back up and open this door to load this level in. There we go. That was our first example of 0G as well. We'll see more of that later too, but basically you can fly around wherever you want, as long as you stay within a certain bounding box. Once you leave that, you lose 0G and you fall back down with normal gravity again. But yeah, I guess just to explain the save station clip a little bit more, yeah, there's a weird interaction that happens when you move forward and you do that unaim animation and then interact. Because you're supposed to get a set, be moved on a set path to a set position in front of the save station when you interact with it, but interacting it after that other animation can kind of influence the direction you go a little bit, and then the low FPS just pushes you just a little bit further, so we can flip through the wall as well. Okay, we're gonna do our first deload here. We'll have a few of these as well, so again, we'll have more time to fully explain it, but basically I'm going to cause a load there by opening the door, cause another load by hitting an invisible load trigger there. And sometimes when you hit more than one load trigger in short succession, the level will partially unload. And that's really useful because if we can get into an unloaded area like this, doors lose all collision. So in that case right there, we actually walked through a door that never actually opens. But since it doesn't have collision, you can just walk straight out of bounds and fall down, and that skips a little bit of a fight. Now here we actually already have arguably the hardest level in the run. There's gonna be a bunch of tricks back to back here. So first of all, there's a fuse on the other side of that door we want to break, but the door's in the way. So we're gonna place an explosive, run over here to unload the door, and just like that, it blows up the fuse. So you're supposed to use these to backtrack normally, but we can exploit that to take some shortcuts. We're gonna do a similar thing here, except you can actually just shoot this one through the wall like that. And now we are going to do a floor clip with this table here. So certain props, when you stand on top of them, can clip you through the floor. It's a little finicky, but there we go. That's actually really good. Nice. And then we're gonna try to land on this slope and do a wall boost, which again is that, it's basically if you just run against certain slopes and collision, you can climb them. So we use that to get on top of the ceiling. And now we're gonna do a stomp launch, which is pretty much what it sounds like. We just stomp off the ledge and you actually get a little bit more speed than you would just running off. And that takes us into chapter 5. So we just skipped most of chapter 4 and also most of chapter 5. Gonna use our javelin gun we got to one tap this little mini boss and then reload. And then we got another combat section here. So yeah, I want to explain something about the stomp launch as well, because we'll see something like that more later. But when you fall in this game, like when you leave the ground, your horizontal speed gets locked. So whatever direction you're moving in, you're moving in that direction at that speed going forward or backwards until you hit the ground again. But your vertical speed slowly increases as you fall. So basically, whatever horizontal speed you have when you leave the ground, you will keep it the entire time you're in the air. So while you don't look like you're moving very fast at all when you stomp, there's a very specific part of the animation when you get shot forward pretty fast. We're talking like a very, very small amount of time. But the idea is that you leave the ledge with the stomp right in that window, like right as you get pushed forward. So that's why that works there. Okay, now we have another trick. So this is called Leap of Faith. So we're gonna try to do a damage boost. So similar concept to the stomp, but we're gonna get hit by an explosive, and that's gonna launch us even faster, because again, we're trying to capture that speed when we leave the ground. So I'm gonna get lined up here. Gonna throw my explosive down, and I actually have a timer up because I need to leave about 3.1 seconds after shooting this mine here. Let's see if I can. Okay, this might work. We'll see. So then I want to try to clip out of the elevator and get hit, and hopefully. Okay, we missed it. Okay, we can try that again. Yeah, I left like 10 milliseconds too late. I'm pretty sure it's a really tight window, but this will skip the elevator ride going down here if we can get it. So we'll try this one more time here. The low FPS thing is also required to actually clip out of the elevator. We'll see another one of those clips later too. The idea with that is when you interact with the elevator, it spawns an invisible wall in to block you from leaving it. But the wall loading in is dependent on the frame rate. So at lower frame rates, it takes a little bit longer to load in. So that's why that works. But yeah, there's a very tight timing window to get this. So we'll try this one more time here. That looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah, this looks a lot better. Okay, there we go. So now we're on the ceiling, and I'm just gonna be really careful because I'm trying to land on a tiny ledge out of bounds here after we fall down to hit the checkpoint. There we go. Nice. Okay, first try every time. Awesome. Okay, now we finally have time to breathe a little bit. We got a cutscene. I can kind of catch us up on the story a little bit here.
Hematologist. Of course you are.
So this character Dana, she talks to us at the very beginning once we get out of the straitjacket, and she's like, "Hey, the marker messed up your brain, and it's gonna kill you. But if you come to me, I can fix it. So meet me at the church." So we go. Turns out she's a unitologist, which is this religion in the game where they actually worship the marker, and they want people to turn into necromorphs. They think it's a higher form of being or something like that, basically. So like she's saying here, she said, "Oh, well, you helped build a marker, so you're gonna build more of them for us, which is gonna be awesome. Awesome for us anyway." So obviously we don't want to do that. We're gonna get bailed out by some guys with stormtrooper aim here, but only stormtrooper aim for us. Our plot armor is so thick here that they're gonna pretty much immediately annihilate everyone in the room and then just proceed not to hit us for like 30 seconds straight, which is pretty funny. Oh, I completely blew past this too in chapter 1. We're in the patient suit still, by the way, which is what the suit you start the game in when you're in the straitjacket. You're normally required to buy a suit to progress. So without doing that skip or using cheats, there's actually no way to have this suit later in the game. And you can kind of tell, we'll see it more later too, but there's certain cutscenes where you're supposed to have your helmet on And in those cutscenes, they don't animate Isaac's face because, you know, you're not supposed to see it. So he kind of just has this deadpan expression, which is pretty silly. But yeah, that's only because we did the skip earlier, like I said. So this is a boss. Again, the first boss was the hardest one. The rest of them are pretty easy. It's fairly scripted. We just shoot the weak spot 4 times in between the cutscene for the first phase. And then we're gonna try to skip the second phase. So the trigger that loads in the next level is it's triggered by shooting some explosives on the gunship that appears here. So if we shoot a line gun shot, because it travels through the air kind of slow, just at the right time, it'll hopefully hit the gunship during the cutscene here. Just like that, nice, okay. So instead of getting pulled out into space, we just immediately get flung into chapter 6, which is awesome. And then we get a little bit of a fun camera glitch here where the camera gets stuck and we can run around, which is sort of silly. This would be really bad if you couldn't fix this, actually, but you can by just aiming there, so
Isaac,
we can progress like normal.
Can you hear me?
What do you want, Strauss?
I mean, I guess it wouldn't be that bad. We could just hit a checkpoint or something, but yeah, fortunately we can just fix it like that. This guy is Strauss. He's another one of the subjects they experimented on that helps, you know, build the marker and stuff.
You mean the marker?
So now that the Dana thing's not really working out, that plot line is sort of over. The new plot line is we're gonna try to meet up with Strauss and get to the government sector so we can try to destroy the marker to sort of stop this whole outbreak from going on. So that's pretty much the goal of chapter 6, is to try to meet up with him. I'm gonna take a little safety save here because if I miss this next trick, not that I probably will or anything, of course, but if I do, we have to watch that little cutscene again, which takes a little bit. So we're gonna set up another deload here. This one's a little bit more complicated, but basically I'm trying to open these doors with a certain timing that I can get behind this one while it thinks I'm on the other side, so it unloads the level. And then, like I said, once the level's unloaded, doors don't have collision, and then we can set up a damage boost here. Now, I was joking about this one because this one is notorious for, at least for me, just kind of not working when it seems like it should work. So we'll see if I jinxed myself or not. Okay, nice, we made it. All right, so we get across the gap and then ideally hit this checkpoint here. Okay, so I'm gonna start explaining this now because I don't know how much, I'll try to explain it while I'm doing it, but part of this next trick requires me to count. So we'll see how that goes, but it's called a punch hover. Basically, we're gonna get into a state where we're essentially airwalking, where as long as we are in the punch animation, we can just float in the air, even once we leave this 0G bounding box. Because normally when you do that, you fall. Like I was saying earlier, you can also do a little flip out of bounds here. See that a lot in these 0G areas. Okay. So I'm gonna use Kinesis, do something called a Kinesis launch to shoot me downwards, and then I'm gonna interrupt that with a punch, and that'll give us the state here where we are floating. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna set this up one more time. I want to make sure we get the lineup just right for this before we commit to it. That looks good. Okay, I'm pretty sure this will work. Okay, so I'm gonna start counting. I usually count on my left hand here to sort of help me keep count, but I'm counting how many times we step forward here. So we want to step forward 57 times. So that's 10. And then as soon as we stop punching, we'll just fall straight down into the checkpoint. So that's 20. And again, we are moving forward this entire time, not very quickly, but as long as we're punching, we are stepping forward every time. 40. 50. Okay, and 56, 57. Okay, so ideally what we've done here is positioned ourselves over a checkpoint, which are, invisible, obviously, and there's nothing really to line up with here once we leave the main part of the level. So that's why we try to line up pretty specifically and then count, because that's the only way to really know where we are without just like looking at, your coordinates. Okay, we got it, thank goodness. Okay, so yeah, that one's quite annoying to redo, obviously. It's one of those, I like to say that this game has a lot of tricks where when you're explaining them, you just kind of have to say, I promise this is fast. Because even though we have to punch in a straight line for a minute there, that saves 2 minutes over going through the intended path, skips some pretty long cutscenes as well. One thing I also didn't mention earlier is we skipped the stasis module too. So we do need the kinesis module to beat the game, which we've been using throughout the run so far. Stasis you don't actually. Casually you do, but we skip the few areas where they actually sort of lock you into needing to use it. We've actually already passed all of them, I'm pretty sure, else I'm forgetting something. All right, we set up another deload here, this time opening 2 doors. So again, the basic premise is we want to be in a deloaded state like this because doors don't have collisions. We can use that to skip a pretty long fight back in the gym there. And the way we got it was by initiating more than one load at the same time. So usually opening doors will start something to load in. Not always, but most of the time that's the case. So in some places, opening 2 different doors and starting both those loads around the same time will cause part of the level to be unloaded. Usually it's, so let's say, you open door 1, it loads the next room. You go back and you open door 2. So it wants to load room 2 since you opened door 2, but it doesn't want to have all that stuff loaded at once to save on memory. So it goes ahead and it unloads room 1. But sometimes, since both doors are kind of still open, you can get back through door 1 before it closes, and now you're in that deloaded area. So, what's the PB for this game? The record is 57-17. That's with loads removed. The record in real time is about an hour and 2 minutes. Like I mentioned earlier, there are some, there are certain strategies and things where they're not faster in real time. So I do think you could probably get the record under an hour in real time. It hasn't been done, but I'm pretty sure if you did only things that are faster, including the loads and everything, I think you could probably get it to 59. But yeah, 57-17 is the record currently. It can definitely be pushed down to 56 with a clean run. 55, not really possible. Probably someday though, I think. But with the current route that we're all doing, with the stuff that's known, 55 is not super likely to happen. All right, we made it to basically the last room of chapter 6 here. So this is the one room in the game that actually does have a pretty decent amount of randomness. So we'll see what happens. Does hardcore differ much? It's fairly different. It used to be a lot more different back when the hardcore record was closer to 2 hours. The hardcore record's a 1:16 now. The reason for that is we've made a lot of the any % casual, like the skips that we do in this category, we've found a way to make them work more or less in hardcore, with a few big exceptions. The next chapter coming up, you still can't do that in hardcore, so you got to pretty much play most of that level. But yeah, hardcore mostly has a different route just because there's no checkpoints. So any skip where you go out of bounds and you have to reload a checkpoint to get put back in, those don't work in hardcore. And you just can't do other checkpoint restarts that save time regardless. Obviously, the harder enemies and the more damage they deal to you does change the routing a little bit, but it's really the checkpoint thing that matters, because the any % zealot record is like, I think 105. It's not very optimized though. You could probably get it almost a sub hour even. So again, the no checkpoints is really the thing that matters. All right, so we're gonna try to get this brute to punch us here, and if he uses his right arm, we will usually go through the door. Wow. Okay, that's really good. First try is very good. Okay, well, we didn't get to demonstrate what can go wrong there, but it is, as far as we understand, random whether he uses the left or right arm. And he will literally sit there and punch you with the incorrect arm like 8 times in a row sometimes. I mean, that's kind of rare in that instance, but he will sometimes just not cooperate at all. So you can retry it as long as you have enough health. But if you get it first try, you don't take any damage like that, fortunately. So that was great. Awesome. All right, so chapter 7, we are pretty much going to skip the whole thing. So we're gonna do another wiggle clip here. We saw one earlier, but if you wiggle into walls and clip part of Isaac into them, it'll let you just pass through. And we're in a very tall 0G bounding box in this level. So we're gonna fly all the way up to the top to get as much height as we can. And then we're gonna do a lineup to hopefully fly out and be able to hit a checkpoint that's all the way at the end of the level. Because normally we're supposed to go up to the elevator, or go up this really long elevator ride and repair the solar array to restore power. And we want to try to skip doing all of that. So I'm just trying to make sure. All right, see if this works. So now we're just going to fly forward. Sometimes trying to line these things up in 0G can be a bit annoying because you have so much freedom of movement. You know, you got to line up like your pitch, your roll, all that kind of stuff. See? You never really know until the loading screen's over. We can kind of tell sometimes, but... Okay, nice, they worked, okay.
Ellie,
all right.
Right outside, hurry!
When it loads back in, you just see that dark gray room. It's just the saddest thing in the game when that doesn't work. Okay, so we set up another little trick there. We hit the trigger to start this auto scroller, but we dodged the one that locks us out of this room. So you're supposed to be locked in with infinitely spawning enemies and just try to survive until Ellie unlocks the door. But fortunately, since we're in here, not only do we not have to do that, we can actually spend this time doing some shopping without wasting time otherwise. So I got rid of the javelin gun. We don't need that anymore. I'm making sure we have enough ammo and selling anything extra. We're gonna buy the...
Isaac, I'll try to open the CC.
Oh, you know what? In my practice runs, I've been buying the detonator. I'll still get it, I guess, but technically we're not doing the trick in this run. For the route I'm doing, we're actually not gonna need the detonator, but it's fine. We'll grab it anyway. Okay, and otherwise we're just stocking up on health packs. I bought more than we need, but you know, we don't have stasis, so I literally cannot use stasis. We only need 9,000 credits to buy one more gun later in the run, and I don't need more ammo, so I literally basically can't spend my credits on anything else, so I just stock up on health because well, one, if we get hit by stuff, but two, mostly, we're going to do a few damage boosts in the next few levels, so we want to be able to just heal up after that. Once your health gets low enough, you know, you start to run slower, so we want to avoid the slower movement speed as much as possible. We do have to wait just a few more seconds here. Now we can go, so just wait on an audio cue from Ellie. And then we can run over here, and it should time out just so that the door opens here.
There, it's open.
And that's chapter 7. Or, well, after this elevator, that's chapter 7, but, you know, close enough.
Ellie, are you guys there?
Okay.
Did you make it?
So,
Shit, Isaac.
wouldn't you guess it, in the next chapter, we are also going to do a big skip. So we're actually going to skip chapters 8 and 9.
I was right here
I haven't really talked about it too much, but the game just loads in
But we were overrun.
map files as you go, so you can't just access the entire map in one level. Otherwise, we could just, you know, punch hard or something. But usually, it's one or two chapters grouped together as like one map. So, for example, chapter 7 was one level by itself, but chapters 8 and 9 are grouped together. So it's basically one level. So in chapter 9, since chapter 9 is below us at the beginning of chapter 8, we're gonna be able to fall into it. That's the idea. But then, for example, chapter 10, that's its own level. Chapters 11 and 12 are one level together. That's going to be really important later too. So yeah, that's kind of how the level progression works. We need to get to the end of each map, each level as fast as possible, and abuse the fact that some of these levels have 2 chapters kind of bundled in one. All right, so we're gonna set up another deload in another few rooms. So again, the way we're gonna do that is, this time at least, is by opening 2 doors in rapid succession. And the result of that is the room beyond the first door we open is gonna be unloaded. And the goal is always to get into that unloaded state so we can avoid door collision. And you can kind of imagine how powerful that might be if you can walk through doors without opening them, since opening doors loads the rest of the level. So you can choose to open specific doors in order to only get part of the level loaded. So you don't have an insane amount of control over it, but in some places you can kind of control how much of the level is loaded, like sort of shape it the way you want. So I opened that door from that side specifically to get this particular load, walk through a locked invisible door there. And now beyond this door that we can't see is just out of bounds because we skipped some of the doors leading up to here. And we're gonna set up a damage boost here. And hopefully land out of bounds here. Now this trick is called Bad Ideas Skip. We're gonna try to do something called a door dive. You've seen me do it a few times already, but that basically just means we're gonna try to open a door, an unloaded door, to load the level in. Now, ideally, we'll land under the floor. Not quite. Okay, that's fine. All right. So if you manage to land under the floor there, you can do kind of a funny cutscene glitch that also saves about half a minute. But that's okay. This is the normal version of the skip. This still skips all of chapters 8 and 9, so it's still like a 5-ish minute time save right there. That's fine. The idea here is if you can set this up a bit differently, getting in here a different way, we can jump into this cutscene before the tram actually gets here, and we would basically be outside the lift, pushed to the left. The nice thing about me messing that up is we get to show a different visual glitch, which is the double Ellie and Strauss's. So that still works out. That's cool. And you'll see the skybox is just completely... oh, no, never mind. Sometimes it is. There's different load triggers depending on which ones you skip. Well, never mind. We get the regular skybox, but we get double Ellie, double Strauss. The reason for that is back in the previous room, when you go down the lift, there is a trigger that despawns the extra pair of them. So the Ellie that's facing us right now is the one that's supposed to be there, right? And the one that's not is the one that is...
What did he mean when he
usually there in the rest of the level, like if you're actually playing Chapter 9 correctly. So it wants to get rid of the one they're not using anymore for the previous cutscenes, you know, but because of a wall boost we did, we skipped that. Now, if I was pushed outside the left of the tram, we got Bad Ideas Skip. When we passed that platform, like the station he's talking about, we would actually have hit a checkpoint on the way there. So it skips this second half of the cutscene here. But that's okay. We'll get this voice line here. This is the reason we call it Bad Ideas Skip in the first place.
Stay ready and take care of Strauss.
Isaac, no! This is a really bad idea.
Well, stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
Yeah, so there we go. We would have spawned right here. But that is okay. We also got to skip first try, which is nice, because honestly, landing too high is better than too low, because we were trying to land on a small invisible platform under the floor, out of bounds, right? So if you go too low, you just die, right? You just have to redo the whole thing. If you land too high, you just land in bounds, and you can just continue, and you've basically still skipped both chapters, so could have been a lot worse, for sure. Okay, so for chapter 10 here, we're revisiting the Ishimura, which is where Dead Space 1, the OG, takes place. We're gonna try to clip off of this lift using a wall boost here. I'm actually gonna grab a safety checkpoint first, just in case, right here.
Ellie, I'm in. There should still be a computer in the...
So I'm gonna line this up.
I can check the ship status from there.
Are you okay?
Wall boost off the corner there. Now we're out of bounds. So you're supposed to go all the way through the flight deck, and then they take you over to the engineering deck, kind of revisiting some of the levels from Dead Space 1 before you take a long tram ride over to medical. Now, shoutouts to Looney for figuring this out. It turns out medical deck is actually right over here, just within reach. So it's a bit dark here, but I'm basically just running over to the spot out of bounds that we're going to do a launch from. To do a line gun damage boost. So I'm going to set up the mine there, do my setup, and then hopefully I can do a door dive here and load the level in just like that. I'm going to switch the graphics to very high, which toggles a setting called flares, and that turns some of these lights on, just makes it a bit easier for me to see where I'm going here. I mean, it's not very easy. It's just a few extra visual cues that help. So now we're just going to be running through. You'll see me opening some doors. Again, that's just to make sure certain parts of the level load, because if I don't open any of them, I will just fall out of bounds eventually. There'll be a room I get to, I go through the door frame, and I just fall and die, which actually would happen here. We fall for a second, but you can open that door there. And we've already done the main part of the skip here. I'm just continuing this deload to save a few seconds, essentially. It just skips some of these door animations, because usually when you open a door, you know, you gotta wait for it to open in front of you, just like that. Technically, you can skip that door opening, but I usually don't, because then you have to navigate through most of this room in the dark, and it's kind of hard to do with the zero-G movement, not being able to see where you're going. But that skips most of the Ishimura here. We're back to the bridge now. And this cutscene, I'm going to turn those high graphics back off. Nice. All right, so this is one room. When we figured out how to skip stasis, I was kind of worried about how we would do this, but it turns out if you just shoot enemies, they often go into a recoil animation, which does not stun them for as long as stasis does, obviously, but it's actually not too bad. It allows us to get past them without getting grabbed. Well, getting hit, but getting grabbed is the one you really want to avoid, because those animations take forever, depending on the enemy.
The centrifuge looks full to full power from here.
Great.
All right, we're going to do a trick called the shark tether here.
I'll wait for you.
I did not name it, but I did find it. So that's why it's called that. But it turns out, shoutouts to Dead Space 2 runner Ted. He figured out that, well, basically he came in and he was like, hey, did you guys know you can interact with that thing and then run around? Like, you don't have to stand right on top of it. And we did not know that. And it means that you can, well, one, set up this kind of funny thing here, but it just lets you get into this room a few seconds faster. And then a little cutscene skip here to break the, which breaks the audio. Normally, when you run up to that, Nicole spawns in. I don't think I've mentioned who Nicole is so far. We haven't seen her very much, but she is a character from the last game, and we're hallucinating. The marker's making us see visions of her. So Nicole shows up and kind of just yells at us for a few seconds. But if you don't look at her, it delays her spawning in, so you can actually get in the escape pod before, you know, continuing. Oh yeah, if I've missed any questions so far, by the way, feel free to just ask again. I haven't been looking at chat the entire time. What's the hardest chapter? The hardest chapter in the run is probably the church, like the Church of Unitology, which is chapter 4. It just has like 3 or 4 pretty difficult skips all back to back, and at least trying to beat the record. If you mess up any of them, the run's pretty much dead. So probably that one. The chapter with the drill, which is coming up after this one, is pretty close though, because drill skip is pretty difficult. I am going for a slightly more consistent, easier version of drill skip this run, so hopefully we won't have any problems with that. But the drill in general is a pretty difficult level as well. My question is, you're awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But yeah, we're entering chapter 11 here, the mines. So I'm not going to explain drill skip yet, but I am going to start explaining it like pretty far, like a ways before it happens, because it's pretty complicated. I'm just going to do a little reload here. Once we get that checkpoint, it skips the rig video with Strauss there. Because normally there's 2 points during that rig video where we actually get stopped in place while Isaac yells at Strauss. So we want to skip that to get our movement back. Just got to kill these enemies here. These guys are called stalkers that like to run around and hide, but they generally do the same thing every time in this room, so we can lay some traps for them, explosives. to take him out at just the right times. Nice. All right, we haven't seen one of these in a while, but we got another hack panel.
I can't face it. I thought Ellie could.
I think this is actually the last one we're gonna do in the run. I think we only do 3 with this route, which is kind of crazy. All right, so oh, I did not explain who Ellie was at all. I have not been on top of the story explanation, but there's been a lot going on. But Ellie's another character we meet, another survivor. For a lot of the game, she's tagging along with Strauss while we go off and do our own thing, trying to fix stuff or figure out where to go. Also gonna buy the contact beam here. Very good weapon, very good for the final boss. We'll be using that later. All right, but yeah, so Ellie and Strauss have been separated now after Strauss attacks her. So now we are trying to meet back up with Ellie. I got pretty good spawns here. These spawns are a bit random in this room. There we go. Just gonna restart to de-aggro the enemies, reset their spawns. Because once you reload the checkpoint, they are consistent. Okay, I thought I could maybe make that. I missed the shot, but if you're really fast, you can like barely make it around that invisible wall. I didn't point it out. I don't know if anybody saw it just now, but there's a baby that always just flies up in the air, jumping up the wall there.
Be mindful of the nearest survival chamber. These are your...
Okay, so yeah, here's the cutscene where we meet with Strauss, and it's like, oh, he's actually insane. This is probably not gonna work out. Ellie bonks him with the metal pipe.
You owe me an eye, you bastard.
And they're gonna fight some more and then get separated again. So, but the objective's still the same. We're mostly trying to meet back up with Ellie. We're not really gonna do that just yet though. Here's where drill skip sort of begins. It's really 3 tricks in one. So this is Strauss kill skip. Normally when you meet back up with Strauss, you have a quick time event where you kill him, and this just skips that part of the level, hence the name. But we're gonna do a little bit of a weird wiggle clip through the wall there to go out of bounds, and then do a little line up here just to be safe, and fly back into a checkpoint. Now, this not only saves time, but it is important because it lets us keep 0G in a part of the level we're not supposed to have, because we hit the checkpoint while it was activated. Now, like I said, you're not supposed to have 0G in this elevator shaft, right? So we can fly around. So that's cool, right? So you'd think like, oh, you can just fly up and skip the elevator. Unfortunately, it's not quite that easy, but kind of not really. So the bounding box does not go all the way to the top of the lift. It's just a bit above where we are right now. So what we're gonna do instead is, if you remember that punch hover trick we did earlier, where as long as we were punching, we still had 0G properties and we could float in the air. There's a similar thing that happens here, where as long as I'm punching, and this is called a tilt, because it lets you maintain the ability to kind of like tilt on stuff like this, right? So with the tilts, as long as I'm punching, this time I maintain the 0G properties of being able to stick to walls. So I'm not in 0G anymore. If I get hit or I stop punching, like anything that takes me out of this punching animation, I will revert back to normal gravity and just fall down. So that's why I'm staying up here to avoid these enemies that are continuing to spawn. And the idea here is we want to use this to climb up the wall once we get to the top. So we kind of just have to wait here for a minute or so while we ride up. Normally you're supposed to just keep killing the waves of enemies till you get to the top and then progress for another cutscene. Now, we're going to skip that cutscene, which is very important, not only because, again, it saves time, but it will set up something called the invincibility glitch. So when you watch cutscenes, some of them will make you invincible, right? So you don't, I guess, like die during the cutscene or something. Well, we're gonna get the invincibility without actually having to watch the cutscene. The way we're gonna do that is, actually, hold on. I will explain that in a second, because now we're actually moving. Okay, so we're gonna finish up this trick here by climbing up It's gonna get kind of dark for a little bit, but then I'm gonna look back down just to make sure we're in the right spot. There we go. Okay. Yeah, this is notoriously a fairly scary trick to do when you're trying to get a PB, just because if you fall here, that's kind of GG, you gotta do it again. But I'm gonna kill those enemies, because we do need this door down there to unlock below us in a second. We're gonna fall down, and now we're gonna hit a checkpoint at the start of chapter 12, just like that. Okay, so that's punch up the shaft. That's the name of that trick. Okay, so now that we've reloaded the level's not really loaded the way it's supposed to be. Like, you're not supposed to go back and hit this cutscene from... Actually, I'm doing a safety save for drill skip, so we're actually gonna revisit that thought. Okay. This is a very new development. If you have not seen speedruns of this game this year, this is a brand new trick that saves about 45, 50 seconds and 90%. We have to watch this cutscene. And the reason that's interesting is because we have not watched this cutscene since like 2014. This is like one of the first skips found in the game, was skipping this cutscene. But it turns out that there's this drill arm that's like this, right? It's like horizontal. We didn't know this until this year, but when you watch this cutscene afterwards, it kind of like pops up like that, right? And part of it is moved. And it's actually moved in such a way that it lets us hit a trigger on the drill that makes it turn around. Because the goal here is to get the drill to turn around and send it off on its way. Because when it gets to the end of its drill ride, it loads the next chapter. That's the ultimate goal, right? But it turns out you can actually hit that trigger by climbing up the drill here instead of actually doing all that stuff. So for safety, I'm actually watching that cutscene first to set that up. Now I'm gonna save. Usually I would go get the invincibility first, so that's why I kind of switched up the explanation here. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and save just in case. We hit it first try every time, so it's no big deal. But you know, just in case. Okay, so now, again, still because we haven't opened the door yet, which triggers the cutscene normally, we're gonna go do that. And again, normally we would come up here and open the door and play the cutscene. Level's not loaded right, so door opens. Looked like nothing happens, but for example, it just does not damage me at all. So I have the invincibility from the cutscene now. That's important, so we just don't die to fall damage, essentially. That's why we do all that. So now we're gonna do some more stomp launches and kind of climb up the drill here. Just like that. And one more to hit the trigger, just kind of poke it right there. So again, that's the one you normally get when you stand on top of the drill. So the drill's just gonna turn around and leave without us, right? Okay. We're finally about to actually do drill skip, even though I've been explaining it for like 5 minutes, just because there's a lot of moving parts. So I'm gonna get into position here and just line up my facing angle. I opted to... That looks good. Okay. Yeah. If you do this the risky way, you have like a second or two maybe while the screen is shaking to line that up. So I just wanted to be very safe here. Okay, so you're gonna see me looking over my other monitor. I actually do have live split up. You can do this with a stopwatch, but I'm using live split in this case. But I'm having it split when I land here, and you know, since there's obviously no visual cues to really work off of here, I need to use timing instead. So I'm flying left for exactly 21 seconds, and then we're gonna fly back until we get to 1 minute and 2 seconds. And that will basically just put us in the exact right spot. Fortunately, we then have to wait for another minute or so I have more time to explain what is happening here. So if you remember, I said sometimes some levels are kind of combined, like 2 chapters can be combined to 1 level, right? So when we got pulled by that big tentacle, or we were in that big open 0G area where we did Strauss kill skip, that's where we are right now. And we needed the invincibility glitch to survive the fall all the way down here, because you know, you're not really supposed to fall in this game. I think most people, when they watch this run, are kind of surprised you even have a falling animation, right? But you do. It loops kind of awkwardly when you fall for like a second, because there's not really anywhere in the game you can fall for more than like a second, or even that much. But there is a fall timer. It will kill you. So we use the invincibility glitch to circumvent that. We're back in that big 0G area, and now I am in a particular position with a certain facing angle to set up the next part. So the next chapter is government sector, the place we've been trying to get for most of the game. And it turns out that even though, you know, only one map file can be loaded at once, sometimes the coordinates for them can overlap. So the next level, chapter 13, is actually directly below us right now, fortunately. So around when this level's gonna unload and the next one's gonna load, I'm gonna back up. And if we did everything correctly, I should be able to open a door as I'm falling and it'll load us in to government sector. So I know it's a lot, but that is basically what we're doing. I did buy the shark hat first, and then the name came second. Yes. Yeah, I think I saw someone asking like how this stuff gets found. Something like this, especially, it's little discoveries by multiple different people and collaborating over like a really long time, and also using like cheats and things to like view, like tools, you know, to view, you know, your facing angle values and like your coordinates, being able to save load positions, like all that stuff is pretty much required to find something like this in particular. Also, I've spent a lot of time looking at this black void, trying to figure out this kind of stuff, and a lot of other people have as well, trying to find stuff. But okay, now we're finally falling. You'll see Isaac kind of changed color very slightly. That means the next level's loaded in, and hopefully, fingers crossed, nice. Okay, we're in government sector. All right, I made a backup save just in case we missed that, but there we are.
Where are you going?
Very conveniently, the level's unloaded, so we can use that to skip the little scanner room.
Well, that's why I'm
Here we go. Okay, now we're sort of in the final stretch here. One very fun thing that you will notice, I'm not cheating, even though it looked like that guy hit me there. We still have the invincibility glitch active. It does not go away until we go through a load screen or quit the game, or like quit to the menu, right? So until I reload checkpoint, nothing can kill me, and nothing can even damage me here. So I'm free to just run through the enemies. If you think that's crazy, I didn't even mention this. The patient suit here has infinite ammo too. Not infinite ammo, sorry, infinite air. There's a way to get infinite ammo too. That's not in this category, but it can be done. That's a whole other thing too. But we have infinite air, and the reason is the air meter never actually activates when you go into a vacuum with this suit, because they just didn't expect you to do that. Again, walking through the insta-kill lasers because we're invincible. Very cool. All right, this trick's a little finicky. It may not work. We're gonna try to do one more deload to just skip some doors opening. We're actually gonna stay inbounds the entire time, even though it might not look like it. But it does rely on this enemy cooperating with me. And when I shoot him in the leg, I have to hit him in a spot where he doesn't just die in one hit. And we are on casual, so it's very easy for that to happen. So if he dies, it's whatever. It's not a massive time save, but we're gonna try it. Nice, okay, so ideally he will also not run away here and stay in front of the door. Nice, okay. So he holds that door open for us, otherwise we don't have enough time to get back to it for that deload to work. And again, like I said, it might look like we're out of bounds, but it's just the visuals and the door collision that's unloaded right now. Everything else is working fine. Well, I guess the enemies, not all the enemies are spawning either, I guess, but some of them do. Try not to get grabbed by this. Never mind. I should have probably shot him. It's fine. Where is the camera? There we go. Okay. So obviously this part's a little bit tricky too, because there's not a lot to look at. There's not a lot of visual cues, so it's a little field-based, a little bit of visual cues. We're making our way. We can skip this hack panel here, since the door can't do anything to stop us here. And now we're finally coming up to the last skip in the game. This is going to be eye poke skip. So if you're a big fan of the big eye poke machine that stabs him in the eye, I'm very sorry we're not going to see it in this run. There are other categories where you do see it though. So we're going to do an elevator clip here. And so we're in chapter 13. Luckily for us, interacting with this elevator loads chapters 14 and 15, which is directly below us. There's the eye poke machine right there. And then if I run off at just the right time here, get enough, like get just the right amount of speed. I have to not have full sprint. It's like a little slower. So I got to stop sprinting right before I hit the edge. If we did that correctly, we should have not hit. Okay, we did not hit. Second try every time, you know what they say. Okay, so yeah, we got the clip there. I just didn't hit the checkpoint. That's all good. That's why I saved there, just so we could try this again really quickly. That looks a bit better. Yeah, that should work. And then I was just doing a little silly trick there. If you like aim midair, he kind of like stands up like that. But okay, did that one work? Nice. First try every time. Sick. Tideman kind of just spawns in there, which is funny. Also, Nicole's supposed to be standing here. Her model does not spawn in because of the way we loaded this. So in a second or two here, you're actually going to see him talking to her, but she's not there. So I don't know. That's always kind of silly. Which this does actually soft lock. So in a hardcore run, you would actually have to go back and open a door to fix this. Oh, I got kind of a weird camera bug. That happens sometimes. Very cool. Okay, so yeah, now we're gonna talk to Nicole. She's just not there. So, yeah, we're gonna reload here because it skips a cutscene, but it does also prevent a soft lock. Otherwise, we load into the final boss and the camera's just like at our feet and we can't move, which is pretty sick.
Isaac. Now, time to die.
What?
Also, I'm gonna turn VSync on. You might have seen me do this a few times during the run. This, in the original Dead Space trilogy and for the PC ports, it does not pay attention to your refresh rate at all. It just locks you to 30 FPS. And we just do that because there's a few things where having 30 FPS is kind of nice. This particular quick kill only works at 30 FPS. So we're gonna use contact beam. 1, 2, and 3, and she's dead. Nice. And yeah, that's mostly Dead Space 2 90%. We got like 2 or 3 more minutes left of like cutscene and a little flying section, but that is pretty much the run. You know that gun is good because you cannot upgrade the damage on it. You can only upgrade like the clip and the reload speed and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess I'll do some of my shout outs now. I want to say big shout outs to the Dead Space speedrun community in general for all the games. As you can see, there's a lot of crazy skips in this game. There weren't really there were skips. My impression going in when I first started running is that there would not be a lot of skips because when I played, just playing casually, before I really got into speedrunning, this is mostly my first speed game. The game's like very solid. It's not super buggy. So I was like, oh, there's probably not gonna be a lot of stuff. And then, coming in and seeing all the stuff that like Looney and Matt had found blew my mind initially when I first started playing. And it's just developed even further since then and gotten even crazier. So I'm very proud of the community for how far we pushed this game. It's gotten like an hour faster since I started running it in 2020, which is pretty nuts. So. But yeah, all these games are very fun, very cool speedruns, fun to play with or without glitches as well. Obviously, this was very far from a glitchless playthrough, but I hope you all enjoyed it. We are like 50 seconds from the end here, something like that. We can technically die during this section. I would have to mess up pretty spectacularly for that to happen. There is a checkpoint, so it's not like that bad or anything. But I will try to have that not happen. And then as far as when time actually is, there's going to be a quick time event in like 30 seconds. It's after that quick time event when we get pulled into the ship. That's when time is. Yeah, so if you fly into these hazards, you will die. But like I said, it's not too crazy. Technically, this is the scary part, but it's not bad. There we go. Okay. All right, yeah, so time's coming up in about 5 seconds.
Isaac! Take my hand! I'm trying!
And time. All right. Thank you. Yeah, that's Dead Space 2 90%. Like I said, I've been Sharkhead87. Hope you all enjoyed the run. thanks for having me on to show off this game again. A few new strats and things since the last time it was on this show, so that's always cool.
Yeah, it's been a minute, and I know the estimate went pretty down since the last time. So
yeah, and we do love to see that as well. Yeah, I guess as far before we move on, I guess as far as any last shout outs, again, you can find me on my page Sharkcat87 here on Twitch. I've recently been running the Dead Space mobile game, actually, the one for Android and iPhone. You might be surprised as I was, a ton of crazy skips in that game too. So that's what I've been up to if you want to check that out. Otherwise, hope you guys stick around for the rest of the show because it's going to be pretty cool.
All right, thank you once again for that Dead Space 2 run. In case you missed them, you can find the link for Sharkcat in the chats. Check him out on Twitch. There's a lot of fun horror games, very glitchy stuff. He also ran Still Wakes the Deep at the last Summer Games Done Quick. I know I do have a couple more runs for you. Before we get to those, just a couple of announcements. One, we do have our Summer Hotfix merch collection. It's live. If you're a fan of Hotfix, you can go to theyeti.com/GDQ to check out our brand new Hotfix shirt, keychain, and sticker pack. As well, Games Done Quick will be returning to PAX West from August 29th to September 1st. You can submit your runs by July 27th for a chance to showcase your run live in Seattle. Selected runners will receive an event badge. You can visit gdq.gg/submit for more information on that. As well, if you're ever curious on Hotfix, you can check the week's schedule and explore full season lineup at gdq.gg/hotfix. All right, everyone, we are back from the break. Hope you all enjoyed that run of Dead Space 2 by Sharkcat. Always love watching the Dead Space games. They are truly something wild if you have never seen them. I recommend checking out all of them, really. They're very glitchy experiences. For this run coming up, we're going to get something a little bit tighter. We saw a lot of, glitchy tech. This game, I do know, I think it has a few tricks in it. But it's going to be a lot of that old school platforming skill that I think a lot of retro gamers like, but in a new style. Anyway, up next, we have Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, Episode 1 Ultimate with Bobby. Take it away.
All right, and I will. And thank you very much, Ek, for trying to upsell Bloodstained like I have been trying to on GDQ for the past 8 years or so. I mean, GDQ loves Bloodstained, and I hope that you folks at Speedruns From the Crypt love Bloodstained too. My name is Bobby, also known as the biggest Sharkcat fan in existence. Shout outs to Sharkcat, by the way. This is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. There's a lot to get into. A lot of save files over here, and I'll go ahead and take an empty one. The category we're doing for today is episode 1 in the ultimate style and veteran difficulty, and I'll explain a lot of all that. Time's going to be on character movement. If you want to read all of this, you should probably buy the game. It goes on sale pretty frequently for I think $10 or so. It's a lot of content for the buck. It's going to be on character movement, and I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, yeah, again, welcome everyone to Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. This game actually came out in 2020, 5 years ago, as the true sequel to the first Curse of the Moon game back in 2018, which was actually a Kickstarter incentive for the main game, Ritual of the Night. So, the contrast between the two series of games is that this is supposed to take on this sort of retro classic stage by stage style, as molded by the NES era, while Ritual of the Night's more of the modern Metroidvania experience, like Aria of Sorrow, Symphony of the Night, and what have you. But again, like the first game, we were piloting this guy, Katana Daddy, my favorite character, Zangetsu, trying to extinguish the night once more because the moon came back. Yeah, that's the overarching tale. That's the first bit of lore that you get with this game is that, okay, you cut the moon in half for the first game, and now the moon came back, and now you got to figure out what's going on. So Zangetsu is here to solve any and all problems, but not without a little bit of help, and we'll be talking about those characters as we come into contact with them. You might notice this game if you have seen the run at AGDQ 2021 online, I believe, where I actually played this game in episode 2, which was a continuation of this one, episode 1. So there was a little bit of set circumstances. We got to play as some characters a little bit earlier, but now we'll have those, like, you know, progressively introduced to us. So we're coming up to our first boss door. I don't have the right sub weapon, but that's fine. We deal out so much DPS, especially in this ultimate style. I'll go into detail a little bit later. This is a big Drago symbiote is the like legitimate name. It's a dragon platypus for me, but we're gonna try to pierce his armor with a charge slash. We're gonna be trying to do our little 3-hit combo as often as possible before his mouth closes, and then we'll have to go up here, do the same thing again. There we go. All right, so ultimate mode. Well, first off, we would see a desperation move, kind of like in Rondo of Blood or the first Curse of the Moon, but this is actually an opportunity to introduce our first character who kind of steals our kill. Like, we had that completely like under control, but she just came in and just an enemy has been slain. All right, cool. Yeah, help. But no. So this is Dominique, and she actually serves a little bit of a different role in Ritual of the Night as one of these secret main antagonists of the game. But for here, she's actually helpful. She's a member of the church, and she has her own like a little bit of like abilities along the way. And stage 2 doesn't really have much to talk about, so we can talk about Dominique real quick. So you got Miriam in Curse of the Moon 1, and the only sort of similarity that they share is that they can jump really high. They got like the Luigi jump, if you will. She has a different, Dominique has a different weapon than Miriam, but she still sports a lot of really good range to that attack, but that's not the reason why we're going to be using that. She also has, and other characters as well, have their own certain set of, well, abilities. So we're chaining her high jump with Zangetsu's double jump right here in order to make this climb incredibly easy. And that's like one of the ways that teamwork can make the dream work. She also sports a different sub weapon set. So if we hit those purple candles, and out will spit out a sub weapon, which some are good, some are bad, but at least there's one for each character that has like a really good amount of use, either for taking down boss enemies or traversing across, you know, really iffy terrain. You do a double jump right here. Oh yeah, ultimate mode. Let's talk about that. So ultimate mode in Curse of the Moon outfits Zangetsu with like a whole slew of abilities, as you're seeing right here. The main 4 is that you get the double jump, you get the ability to run, you get a crescent slash, which is this. It's got a really nice like range like in front of you, and then you have the almighty charge slash. Like, this thing deals a whole bunch of damage. It's kind of like if Zero from Mega Man. Oh, hold on. If Zero from Mega Man could like charge a Buster, it deals a whole bunch of damage, and like that's going to be like one of the main ways that we take like some early bosses down. So obviously you're going to be seeing him for the majority of this game just because he has the ability to dash. Like, he can move like really fast and scale amongst all this terrain. But you'll be seeing a lot more of the other characters as well. All right, we're already coming up to our second boss. This is a really peculiar one. So you drop into this tree trunk arena, which is really nicely furnished, as a matter of fact. And you see this lovely figure in front of you. You inhale these fumes, and then this spectral figure attacks. And you don't know why they're attacking, but they turn out to be this eldritch abomination. And it's mad, and it's angry, it's swelling up, it's about to blow up. But you get your kill stolen again. What the heck is going on? And now's a good time to introduce our second companion here. His name is Robert. This is our little bit. This is like if we had like a D&D party, like Dominique would be the cleric. This would be like the sort of like rogue thief. As you can see, he totes some really nice ranged weaponry that sees a little bit of use in this run. And also we have other weapons of his that are useful in other categories like episode 2. So they're a lot distrustful of each other, but after, you know, a night at the campfire, like Dragon Age Inquisition style, we're all friends. We're all tarrying on to stage 3. And Robert's got some pretty nice abilities as well. I mean, again, like not just like the amount of guns you can outfit him with via special weapons. He has some certain like abilities like in the actual field, much like he can crawl. He can crawl under these small crevices. And it's actually, you know, like once you realize like kind of like the scope of like the level layout of the game, like the speedrunners really did really well with like mapping out like the best way to go and like the best method to reach there. So like you might be coming across all these doors that we might have gone through, we could have gone through, but it's actually not the fastest way around there. So yeah, even though this game only came out in 2020, like a lot of work from a lot of people have been been put into this really nice polished product. And I invite you folks to, you know, come take this game on yourself. If you really love precision platformers, spooky-esque settings like Castlevania-like games will get you. This is good. All right, hold on. This is going to be a bit tricky. I don't want to fall through the logs. Okay. So the thing about those logs is that they actually operate on a global timer from when you start the file of the game. So if you're on like similar paces to like your PBs, you can kind of anticipate the placements of those logs. But it'll be like logs like those and some other platforms in the later stages that will operate on that really wonky, unique global timer. All right, we picked up a special sub-weapon for Zangetsu called the Demon Essence. This thing rips, it tears, and it shreds. And since we're in ultimate mode, we also have the ability to spruce up our physical attacks as well as our sub-weapons, if we so use them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop the Demon Essence right now. Again, we get these special abilities, but also it increases the damage that we deal by 1. This is the Gladiator Dozer, and that is a flaming apparatus. This is like one of the weirdest bosses. But we're going to be going hella Ninja Gaiden up in this piece. We have what's called the Buzzsaw, or the bzz, however you want to say it. This is your new buffed aerial jump whenever you have the Demon Essence, and again, it rips. But who's going to be saving us now? A strange clad figure in very heavy armor. Who could this be? Could this be our third companion? And it's a dog. Everyone, I would like to introduce you to the bestest boy, one of my favorite emotes on my channel, the pup, the hype up. His name is Hachi, and apparently they like Hachi the dog and Zangetsu have a little bit of history. It's not really expunged on or expanded on in this title, unfortunately, but as you can see, they're having a nice, you know, like bath and, you know, little anime filler sauna episode, and we are now into the freezer. We have all of our mates, and it is time to carry on. So let's talk a little bit about Hachi as we kind of open up these shortcuts along the way. So he is a dog, and he is in like this Final Fantasy 14 Magitech mech suit. So he sports an incredibly large HP pool. He can take some damage and also has some like reduced knockback if he were to suffer a hit. All right, really nice RNG throw on these hammers. And he doesn't really sport any like special sub weapons. His main shtick is that he has hyper armor. So when you activate his ability, it'll tick down the weapon points that you do have, but you do not get hit. You are invulnerable. Like, and I'll be showcasing that a little bit as we try to get rid of our weapon points and such. Okay, these shortcuts, I mean, like, these are the fastest ways, but very, very challenging with trying to use your HP as a resource so that, you know, you don't get one shot. And that is very difficult when you're playing on the hardest difficulty, Legend Hunter mode, which was an additional difficulty that was patched into the game like I want to say like 6 months or so after release. But it is hard. I tried mapping out the speed run for that. It is brutal. You take so much damage. There's so many troll enemy placements. It is just overall not a good time. But hey, if you want to torture yourself like that, feel free to take on Curse of the Moon 2's hardest mode. We're already coming up to the boss as I continue to yap. I love yapping about this game, honestly. We're gonna pop this demon essence as we slide right into the boss chamber. And players who have experienced Bloodstained's Ritual of the Night might be familiar with this boss. It's actually the very first boss of the game when you come out of that galleon ship. So Vetbar is now realized in pixelated 2D form, and he looks ever so beautiful. So what we're going to be doing here is taking advantage of our technology. She's going to be going back and forth, and that's one phase down. She'll have a little bit of a phase transition mode. Look at that MS Paint blood right there as well. Like, that's just all right. We're going to use Hachi's special ground pound to break the spikes that would be very perilous beneath us, but it will enable us to do the maximum amount of DPS on this buzzsaw, on this before Vetbar can launch an attack. So this is the super armor, hyper armor mode that I was talking about. You glow incredibly red. You don't you don't suffer any damage, any knockback. You are completely invincible as long as you have weapon points. It's actually pretty useful if you're playing casually as well. Yeah, 1-2 hits and you're done. Legend Hunter difficulty is it's just incredible. Okay, we got the Soul Eraser. So this is what would enable us to have all of our ultimate mode abilities if we were to play this normally. Ultimate mode is actually like one of the very last bits of content that you unlock through the game. When you play through all the modes, when you get the true ending, yada, yada, yada. And Ultimate Mode is right there, ready for the taking. And I love this mode ever since it got debuted in Curse of the Moon 1, where Zangetsu just goes Mega Mode with all of his abilities. Like, it goes from Castlevania to Ninja Gaiden pretty quickly, as you can see right here. So stage 5 and onward, things will deal a little bit more damage. Obviously, we're in a volcano or a volcanic type area, and everything around us pretty much hurts. And again, there's multiple ways that we can go about this stage, but this might be the fastest, you know? So we're also going to be anticipating the stage hazards that come our way. So you might see me like stutter stepping a little bit. But again, I just do not want to be hit by any of these stage hazards. These deal a lot of damage. And much like a Castlevania game, you want to use every bit of points as a resource, even your life points, even your HP, the damage boost juice, as I like to call it. Especially when going fast in a speed run, you want to make minimal times to, make a pit stop for anything. But if done correctly, easy first try every time, right? I'm going to be coming up to this dog. I'm just going to do a little weave to the left so that he jumps right over me. Again, teamwork making the dream work. But Zangetsu, just that movement is just too crispy from Katana Daddy. And just want to make sure I do not fall into this hole. It's actually very easy to die in this game because you can lose control of your character incredibly quickly, especially if you're like knocked out of the air. Doesn't even matter if you change to another character or whatnot. We're gonna grab this all max HP up because we do take a lot of damage boosts in the later levels, and we just want to make sure we come out all right with that. Now, coming up, definitely one of the most RNG intensive. These next two bosses are going to be like one of the most RNG intensive bosses in this game. This is Lava Mandra. It looks really, really cool, but it wastes so much time. Katana what? Katana Daddy. Katana Papa. David Hayter. The guy that voices Solid Snake from that Smash Brothers game. He's got many names. Zangetsu is like literally like the coolest like headcanon character made into actual fiction by Iga ever. All right, do we get good? Yeah, we get good patterns. So we either get heads or tails, eels or escalators, as I like to call them when I was grinding this game. And if the head is out, then obviously you can damage it immediately. But if you get Tails, you're gonna have to wait until he winds up a very slow attack. The head becomes really hard to hit because it's an active hitbox actively trying to chomp at you. There's a lot of things that go wrong with Tails. All right, pretty decent Lava Mandra fight. We've got 3 more stages, and we got some more interstitial content with them just completely out of breath. But we're out of the frying pan and into the museum of some sort. These actually are part of like some of my favorite like techniques to use in a game, like using this mimic to move incredibly quickly, even quicker than you can dash. This is a pretty hectic area right here. Let me just concentrate a little bit. Again, just do not want to get knocked into there. All right, cool. And then we get to grab this power glove. So this buffs all of our attacks, all of our physical attacks up by 1 point. So this makes David Hayter incredibly strong because we have 1 point buff from the Demon Essence. We have another point buff from the Power Glove. And it's also really cool that we can transfer the aura of the Demon Essence to other player characters by instantly swapping on over to them. Again, I really do love that pogo from Dominique. Like reminds me of like Eric Lecard with that spear. We're just gonna be doing another hop again, buffing up that charge slash. Yeah, things start dealing a whole bunch of damage. Sorry, things are also taking a lot of damage, so we gotta buff up a charge slash instead of just trying to hit them on. It's actually quite unfortunate that the charge slash was actually kind of nerfed from Curse of the Moon 1 to 2, because if you had any instances of physical damage stacking, it would actually hit for like the first hit hits for a ton, right? Like a lot. And hold on, another trick. 1, 2, 3. All right, cool. Yeah, that first hit hits for like I think like 12 damage, like a really significant amount, like even more than like your sub weapon. And if you were to stack that multiplicatively within a boss's hitbox or even anyone's hitbox in Curse of the Moon 1, you would just be eviscerating whoever stood in your path. Speaking of eviscerate, we picked up one of the greatest weapons for Robert, and you can enable gunslinger mode, and hopefully we get to showcase that off with this boss. But this is like literally the most RNG intensive. This is Titan Kamoon. He can either move from the left to the right. He can spawn any totems in any 3 spots, and it's just really hectic. So we're gonna do a little bit of a safety strat with Dominique. And a little bit of a safety strat so we can get rid of these turret thingies, because those will really be hectic. But I guess I mean, if you're being ever so kind on the GDQ Hotfix Titan Kamoon, I guess I'll just shred you in the face real quick. There's so many things that can go wrong with this boss that I cannot believe that it went pretty decently during in a 1-take setting. I love it. I love it. I mean, you know what? That's what I was worried about. But it seems that we're going to be coming in underestimated after all. 2 more stages left. This is stage 7. And we're going to be coming into some of those platforms that operate on global timer, much like the logs in stage 3. So we got to be really quick about it, especially if you want to act like we can anticipate the pace of this. We're gonna also pick up this armor, which reduces all damage dealt to us by 1, which is incredibly useful, especially for stage 8 when we're just gonna be damage boosting everywhere. We'll be using Hachi for this little float. Oh my god, they really did just create the bestest boy. Okay, so these are the platforms that we kind of have to focus and anticipate on, and hopefully everything goes right. Sure, I'll take that. It's a little bit of a stutter step, but yeah, you just gotta really anticipate where those platforms will be. We're gonna pick up a really nice weapon for Dominique. We're gonna fail that stair jump for some reason, but that's kind of like her ultimate sub weapon ability, which we'll be using a lot in the last stage. If anyone's played like Bloodlines, or actually even with the skip, Again, teamwork making the dream work, the lance jump to the double jump to the wall jump, like all that in just like really quick succession is just incredibly sick to witness. But yeah, like if any of you folks have played like Bloodlines and really like Eric Lecard, one really goated game, really great speed run, but Eric Lecard also has that nice lance jump ability. It's a really nice callback to that. All right, so be raining frogs. Hopefully we can swat them. Do another lance jump right here. Cool. All right. We got another long room, and then we'll be at the boss. So we're just gonna, again, top up on all of our resources, our boost juice. Oh, he moved forward. Give me just enough time to not stop my momentum, just enough space to carry on forward without stopping. All right. So who is that? For people who have played Curse of the Moon 1, you would recognize that silhouette anywhere because that is Grumry. This is the final boss of the first game. Why are they back? Nobody knows. Why is the moon back? I don't know. The game doesn't really tell you that much off rip, especially if this is episode 1. And that's the thing, like this is a very content-laden game. Like this is just... Like you think episode 1 is cool? Episode 2 is a little bit of like more of like a second loop. Episode EX, you get to play as like the characters from the first game. Then the final episode where everyone teams together. It's just so sick. You got to buy this game. Oh, here's a spirit bomb, by the way. Well, we know what the moon was there for. Goodbye, Grumry. We got one more stage after that. Like again, like it's a very new age Castlevania. I mean, like Iga, the director of many like modern Castlevanias, like headed over like a lot of the projects, especially when Inti Creates had crafted the Curse of the Moon series. And it's not like Inti Creates are any slouches as well, having developed games like, I don't know, Mega Man 9 and 10, like one of the GOAT classic Mega Man games of our time. I think they know what they're doing. All right, final stage. We're gonna be doing some swap hopping up here just to dodge a little bit of the obstacles. This is an ultimate test of what we have, you know, known and gained and accrued so far. There we go. I'm just gonna pogo. Oh, I still got it. Just gonna pogo over that. So the boss of this stage is actually gonna be chasing us through that sphere, and we have to repel it or outrun it. I think that's a really, really cool like mechanic. Like you are on a timer. You are not safe through any of these doors. Again, taking more shortcuts, that little pogo right there. And again, this is where damage boost juice comes into handy. So, oh no, uh-oh. So Zangetsu's hurt a little bit. We were trying to careen ourselves into the knights because they deal 2 damage to us while everything else deals like 4 damage. Like it is a very hefty chunk. But we're still going to be cascading ourselves on through. Again, this nice spear just trivializes a lot of the platforming that we would normally have to do if we didn't have access to such a great sub-weapon. Again, like almost every person in this roster just has a little bit of something to contribute, and it's awesome. Now there is a mode in this game where you can play like as a single character. There have even been some players that have done like single character mode speed runs, like Robert, Dominique, you know, what have you. I'm just gonna grab this for safety. Again, many different ways to play the game. It's really, again, one of the really greatest like precision platformers. And again, we're just boosting on through. And we are almost at the end. But just a little bit more setup before we face the final boss of this game. We're almost done, everybody. It's been really nice chilling with y'all. I haven't been on a hotfix in maybe about like half a year now. Really appreciate everyone that takes their time to, you know, see what everyone, like all the showrunners have to offer here. Got myriad unique content. And I'm proud of each and every one of these people here. All right. Phase 1 of this Beelzebub. We're gonna try to carry some of our demon essence on over while still trying to get these attacks on through. I'm going to be a little bit conservative with my weapon points because the magic number is 24 to 27 for what we kind of want to do for phase 2. So he's going to phase on out here. We're going to try to manipulate him so that he reappears on the left turn side. All right. And then, yeah, he'll have his back to us, so it'll be easy pickings from there on out. That's not the hard part. The hard part is setting this up, especially in a one-take situation. But if all goes well, then we're gonna be like D Cosmic with that Devil May Cry run in that earlier hotfix run tonight. We're gonna be going hella gunslinger mode. I love the boss designs in this game. Time's gonna be on the final hit, by the way, so get ready on that. A little reverse slash. And we're going gunslinger mode. We are just mashing. Oh my God. We are at, like, he is hanging on by his left leg, just pressing, mashing that square button, just like his idol Dante. And that is time.
GG.
That is real GG. Yeah, everybody, that's Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2 again. That's just a tiny shred of what this game can offer. Like even during the last bits, this cutscene right here. Oh no, wait, that wasn't the final boss. He just got wrecked by another stronger, otherworldly force, and Dominique is sacrificing herself to save her friends. What is this? Like there's just so much that's left to the imagination, to that page turner called Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2. And if you like this, if you like the Curse of the Moon games, if you ever want to pick up a speed run of it, the community is super kind. They got really good guides. We're just an overall welcoming crew. Really do love the folks at Bloodstained Speedruns. Love the folks the folks viewing this on GDQ Hotfix. Y'all have been an incredible audience. Dices, thank you very much for joining me again on another hotfix thingy. I don't want to call it a thingy. A show the crypt extravaganza. No, I appreciate it, bud.
Absolutely. Really quick, if anyone wanted to find you, where can they watch you? Like in links?
Sure. Yeah. Twitch.tv/Bobby, spelled Bobby, spelled BOBBEIGH. And I hope to see you folks on my stream where we do some speed runs from time to time, but also do some other really cool things. I'm in tune with a lot of the fighting games and rhythm games. So overall good time, really good place to chill and lurk if you need that body double tactic while you're working. So yeah, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Oh, also, yeah, prize guy. Sorry, I'm prize guy now. I'm part of the prize team. I guess I could say that. And I hope to be displaying a whole bunch of really cool prizes for you at the next GDQ. So you'll see me there as well. So yeah, good to meet you. And we'll see you soon. The Dice has got to be getting ready for Haunting Ground right now. So I'll let him take it away with the outro for this segment.
Thank you. Once again, if you did enjoy Bobby's run of Curse of the Moon 2, Bloodstained, feel free to check him out in the link in chat, twitch.tv/Bobby. The man does a lot of high skill games like that, a lot of the Castlevania, Bloodstained. He's even dabbled in some horror himself, because I believe he has done a Resident Evil Deadly Silence. Also recently in the last GDQ, he did Castlevania Rondo of Blood. So a lot of fun stuff. You may have seen him. Fun times. All right, everyone. Welcome back from the break. Hope we all enjoyed that run of Bloodstained. I believe we might be on a different screen than usual for this last run. That's because for this last run, I will be your runner. Whenever I come back from GDQ, I do like to kind of give a warm welcome myself because, shockingly enough, I also speedrun games. So, the game I picked for you is one of my personal favorites. It is a game called Haunting Ground. We'll get started in a moment, but hopefully you've been enjoying the show and really all the Speedruns From the Crypt episodes. And you may notice it says Demento. Demento is similar to Haunting Ground, just the Japanese name. Anyway, we can start in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, you may be asking yourself, what is Haunting Ground? This is a retro PS2 game. It was kind of made, funny enough, I believe we had some Devil May Cry stuff earlier. This game is off the backs of Resident Evil 4 and Devil May Cry. It kind of relates to a franchise called the Clock Tower series. Which, funny enough with that, a lot of you may not know Clock Tower, maybe you do. There was a weird time where Capcom worked with Clock Tower, and yeah, I think even still they even work with it. But they made Haunting Ground to kind of continue that without having to be totally tied to it. And it was just kind of a passion project that explored a lot of assets that was already existing. That being said, what is it as a game? Because obviously, knowing the history doesn't really tell you what the game is. It's a horror game, and it controls like a lot of other horror games, but we have a bit of a different mechanic, which we'll see around maybe the 5-minute mark or so. Anyway, for our first major little tech here, you're going to notice I'm kicking a lot of doors and opening doors. There are 2 types of doors, outward and inward. Outward doors, we kick because, you know, kicking a door is faster. Inward doors, I have to open manually because I can't kick them. Right now, we're actually hitting our first combat section. Funny enough, this game has combat, despite not looking like a game that would have it. I'm walking down this hallway for stamina. We're opening this door, and we're going to enter the first major little thing. So this game has stalkers. They're enemies that will chase you as you're running around. You're supposed to hide. However, instead, we can just ram into them 4 times. I probably have a little bit of bad RNG here, so I'll be getting a knockdown, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, see, there we go. Anyway, he's gone, and he knocked us over, but that is the first major encounter right there, and it's a very important way to set the stage for the rest of the run. Right now, we're going to be typing in a bunch of words. These words will have a lot of meaning later. Right now, they are just going to seem kind of weird. We're going to start by making meth. After this, we're going to make something called Adamus. We then have powder. We'll have Morgan. See, all these things will be names that won't really make sense until we get further into that. But we'll have some salts. Sulfur. Mercury. And then just some letters, which will be RRL. So what I just did is actually a major speedrunning skip. Normally this game has a lot of word-based puzzles, and you need to go to these like typing pads throughout the game, and you will need to type these in order to solve the puzzles. Now, since we're speedrunning, we know all the answers already, so I can just type this in. We have a friendly golem. I'm going to give him meth. And what happens to the meth golem is, well, this happens in real life, he disintegrates and literally vanishes from this world. Don't do meth. Meth is bad for you. Anyway, that passes the first major puzzle. Yeah, we gave a golem meth, and now he's dead. But we also made some other things. Now, you may have noticed the category is called Ending A New Game Plus. It's called Ending A New Game Plus because 1, it's the game's best ending, and then 2, New Game Plus is going to be very important for the flow of the run. There are new game runs of this game, however, the stamina system is pretty abysmal. Our main character isn't the likes of your Jill Valentine's, or your Chris Redfields, or even the Silent Hill characters. I'm pretty sure the main character might even be anemic, so when she runs more than like 20 steps, what will happen is her side's going to really start hurting, and it's not going to be a good time for her. This is quite slow, so New Game Plus is preferred because then you don't have to worry about the stamina issues. Also, hello, Crypt Chat. Yes, also, this is a mid-2000s Capcom game. I'll just point that out now. If you're wondering, this character looks kind of like Jill Valentine. That's because it is Jill Valentine. Well, sort of. It is a weird combination of things, but this is actually what they based the RE5 Jill off of. Her name is Fiona. So, just that era of Capcom gaming is really the best way of putting it. Anyway, it is now time for the fan favorite moments, just about. We kind of went through the tutorial, we're getting sent back to the intro room, we're kind of getting more lore, but now we get what makes Haunting Ground very different, because this isn't just a horror game. This isn't just your average horror game, right? Most horror games, you know, you run from enemies, maybe you fight some enemies to solve puzzles. This game has a dog. And it's one of the most unique horror games because not only is it a horror game, it's also a pet simulator. So that dog is going to be our best friend for the rest of the run. That is Huey, who hopefully will be a good boy. He can be a bad boy. In fact, quite often, he is a bad boy. But for hopefully the purposes of this run, he will be a good boy. Now, obviously, we saw a dog in the last game. That dog was a lot better because he could drive a car. This dog is a real dog. That being said, it controls like a real dog, sort of. You give commands to the dog, you'll have to give it orders, you can feed it treats, but it's a very in-depth system that's very unique to Haunting Ground. And this begins the most of our runs. So now that we have Huey, we can solve puzzles that we weren't able to before with the help of them. This is just a giant tutorial. And you're gonna hear me say Huey a lot. I have to call Huey at certain points in order to progress the game properly, because as the game starts, Huey's not a very good friend. He doesn't quite trust you yet. So we need to be very careful on how we give orders to Huey and how he responds to them. Whenever you hear a bark, he heard your order, and that's a good thing. Can you pet him? We can, but unfortunately it loses too much time and we do not have a lot of time to spend. I know we start on this one, we get a marionette, which is going to be a major key puzzle. I'm going to use an item I grabbed earlier, and I'm also using a map just to get it out of my inventory. The early game is going to be one of the most important Huey sections early, just because a lot of RNG can happen here. Ideally, we can predict it pretty well at this point. I want Huey to mostly stay in rooms with me or be about one room behind. If he gets too far away, we can really lose the plot of this game fast, so we must be careful. I'm actually going to scold Huey right here.
Come on.
And then that'll have Huey follow me. I'm not sure why, just scolding Huey early has more of an effect than praising him. Don't worry, I know a lot of you want Huey to be called a good boy. We will have the time for that. It actually is built in tech into the run, where Huey will get a lot of good boys. Anyway, dogs can't climb ladders, so instead we're going to do a little cheeky thing here, where we're going to have Huey grab an item for us. But I actually don't care about this item whatsoever, I just want Huey to go down this ladder. Which, apparently he can just do that. He's, like, immune to, like, fall damage. I don't know how dogs can leap. Like, that seems like a pretty high leap, right? But Huey's an athletic dog. He is a white German Shepherd. And now we get to see some of the Huey mechanics, where I have him rest on this plate, and then I am going to solve the actual puzzle here. Haunting Ground is also a very mean game. A lot of the puzzles here are instant death. Also, we'll talk about Fiona's feet later in the run, because that will come up. I did see the question asking about if she has steel toes. This will be very important later. Anyway, right now we're hitting the most important skip in the early game. This is going to be called the Debilitus skip. Huey did not follow us, which is good. Debilitus, that guy I ran in the beginning, is coming back. What I'm going to do is simply hide in this corner. We got it? Okay, perfect. If that looks easy, I assure you it's not. In fact, Huey may have just messed it up, but we'll see. So, it's very likely normally whenever you do that, Debilitus will look at you. It is a little bit RNG, but we got it. And I know that skip didn't seem like a lot, but we had to position ourselves just right and crouch in that corner. We also had to get there in time. By doing all of that, right now you hear some dramatic music playing. That music's actually an indicator. As long as that music is going, I am being chased. Now, you may have noticed the music stopped. So, by doing that skip, I have lost Debilitus almost instantly, and that is going to be perfect, because now I can enter this hole. This hole is going to have all the items that we are going to need for New Game Plus. We're going to be putting these in right now. We have our Adamus. We have our powder. And we have Morgan. All of these will be the New Game Plus items. I'll equip all of them, fix my inventory. Also, just because it'll be funny, we're going to do this. This is clothing. If I remember right, I think it should be this one. No, not that one. Hold on. Might be this one. Nope, I am misguessing all of them. Hey, you can see the outfits this game has. All right, we're a little frog. There we go. We'll play the rest of the game as a frog because it's fun. This has no actual advantages for the most part. It has one very minor one, but it doesn't matter. Would you do this in a normal run? No, because it does lose time, but it's funny. Okay, so I'm gonna take the shortcut to fall down. Debilitus is back. There's gonna be a lot of times in the game that stalkers will return based on interactions. However, they can also leave based on rooms. So whenever you hit certain puzzle rooms, what's going to happen is you are going to lose the stalker because they're not meant to enter that area yet. This normally is meant to jump scare you as you're playing the game, and we will get a jump scare here, I guess. But we're actually able to abuse this mechanic because not only do I get a shortcut down here where I lose Debilitus, I need to kick this anyway and respawn Debilitus. So it doesn't matter if he's chasing me, I go right here and he's back. Stalkers in this game do have a timer whenever you lose them. So we're actually going to want to make sure we can, lose him. We have a very specific setup in a mechanic that we're going to see quite actually only once. In terms of losing stalkers, you have a few options. 1, you can hide. 2, you can fight back. Or 3, and most accurately, there are certain interaction points. It might be with a certain cutscene, but usually it requires Huey. So right now, we're going to be keeping Debilitus following us, and I need to make sure that Huey enters this room. I'm going to keep calling Huey. I'm looking for Fiona's head to turn. Let me see who will be in the room. If we do not have Huey, that is going to be rather dicey. I don't see him yet. There he is. All right, so we got Huey. And now what's going to happen is I go in this corner, and it will cause Huey to knock Debilitus off the edge. If we do it alone, we won't knock him down, and I can't actually progress to this point. Like, it gets really bad. So Huey's very important here. Debilitus is now knocked down, and we can progress to the rest of the game's puzzles. The way we set this up is we have just enough time to do everything that we need to do, and only really that. Come on. It is a little generous, but depending on how it goes, it can get a bit rough. So right now, we need Huey to actually do some gardening for us. It also looks like Huey's being a very good boy now. He is behaving. We are keeping an eye out for those barks, making sure he follows us into the rooms. Good. All right, I will say Huey's been very good. And also, we're a frog because there's a frog costume in this game. And the best friend of a frog is a dog. And it makes sense. Huey, come here. Also, you see me turning invisible. That actually lets me talk about the upgrades I grabbed. Because you may be wondering, what did I grab? Well, first off, Huey is going to grab us some pretty flowers. But what we grabbed, Adamus gives you a necklace and earring. It gives you a necklace. There he is. The necklace gives you essentially infinite stamina, and it makes you much more durable on the game's fights. You die very quickly otherwise. New game runs are a thing, and honestly, the health isn't really the boon here. It's more of the infinite stamina, so we can just run all over the place. 2, we get the fairy earrings, which if the run goes bad, it makes it much, much better, because now I have a free place to hide. 3, we get a shoe called Powder, which is a secret trick that will help us at the very end of the game. Also, we cannot pet Huey. Unfortunately, we do not have the time, and that actually brings me to the next mechanic, Stalker Time. Every time you get rid of the Stalker, they go on a timer, and that timer is constantly trying to hone in on yours or Fiona's position. If you take too much time out of the way, it can actually get really bad. I I actually learned this during I ran this game at GDQ. I want to say it was 2022, and I had one of the most stressful moments I think I've ever had in a speedrun marathon. And that's actually because I played out some cutscenes, funny enough, that I learned later. It's going to be really goofy, but the game's internal timer runs always. It runs during cutscenes, and it's constantly going. This internal timer is how it decides when stalkers should attack you. And if that goes bad, it will really ruin all of the run in parts that are not going to be good for us. And especially when we get late game, this can be downright lethal. This game also does not have a built-in continue function, so if we need to make a save, we have to rely on safety saves. So the best parts of the run are right now. We no longer need Huey. Huey will chill in his Huey hole that I put him in. We got all the items we need, and now we can make actual progress all the way until the boss stage. Every stage in the game, like let's say there are 4 stages, you have exploration and then you have boss. Right now we're on the back half of exploration, and we will be entering a boss stage. We don't have to worry about Huey too much. There'll be times in which he can just chill. So we're good there. Wait, I missed the button. Okay. We set up this puzzle for one of the final puzzles that we need. And then we're going to be grabbing an item. So all that timer stuff I just talked about, if we do this right, once we exit this room, Debilitus will be right back. Wait, missed out. Debilitus will be right back to us. Which, depending on where he is, this could be really good or really bad. There's Debilitus, but where is Debilitus? Because we hear him, but we don't see him. It does not look like we got good RNG. It looks like we have pretty... Actually, he's gone already. That was fast. Okay, then. Well, since Debilitus is gone, we don't get to do a minor skip. He can actually hit you off this ladder, and it saves you the time of having to climb down the ladder. Which, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Earlier, you noticed I pulled this switch. If I did not pull this switch, I would die in this hallway. It's kind of funny, but I've had to do a lot of little things to set up for later things. And they're things you probably don't immediately think about. Because, I mean, why would a random switch cause the eyes to not kill you? I also mentioned that Huey can kind of just chill for a moment. Whenever you hit significant cutscenes, Huey normally spawns back to you. So, hey, look, there he is. Huey can follow him if he wants. That's fine. We don't need him to follow us because when we need him, he will be back. There actually are going to be puzzles where we do need Huey, but luckily, since we are speedrunning this, we already know the answers to the puzzles. Some of them we do actually need him because he's required. However, for some of the ones coming up, you'll see what I'm talking about, where we can just ignore him entirely. Anyway, this is our first real chill part of the run, and I guess I can talk about what's coming up in a moment here. But this is just a box puzzle. If you like pushing boxes, it was all the rage back in the day. I feel like every game had box pushing. I don't know why. Is that a Tomb Raider thing? Did Tomb Raider convince a generation of people they love pushing boxes? When's the last time you pushed a box? Like this. Ah, yes, you wanted to talk about Fiona's feet. That's right. So, Fiona, story of this game. Why is Fiona here? She's told she owns this castle. It's her birthright. And she is here because people want her for her Azoth. Azoth is a alchemy elements that gives you eternal life, and it's in her body. And everyone wants her for different reasons. Some people want to be her. Some people want to use her for evil purposes. Some people want to drink her like a soup. The thing is, you don't want to lose your Azoth because, well, that's very healthy for you. Azoth also apparently gives you steel feet, which you'll see later because Fiona can kick everything and not hurt her feet whatsoever. It's actually going to get pretty wild later, and you'll see. I'm not going to get super in-depth on the lore of Haunting Ground because, admittedly, a lot of the Haunting Ground lore is probably not the... GDQ is not the best place to discuss Haunting Ground lore, let's put it that way. But this puzzle's pretty easy. You match the color of the box to the wall of the box. It's simple. So what comes up after this, though, it's kind of funny. Every single area in the game, you have a regular puzzle, which then leads to a death puzzle, which then leads to a standoff. So the death puzzle is going to seem really stupid, but I assure you it is going to be a puzzle. By the way, you can die to it, which is, you know, why they would call it a death puzzle. And then also, for people who like locations, this game takes place in Italy. It is an Italian castle. That being said, Fiona is like British. Apparently she's like a college student who studies music, like I think the piano. So that's her thing. You don't quite know what kind of power Fiona has, but she has Azoth in her body, which probably does give her some form of like durability. So she's definitely more durable than the average person. That being said, she has horrible stamina, and I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be anemic. Anyway, you may have remembered earlier, I grabbed an item. That is a moonstone. I'm also going to unlock this door for later. And now we can solve the... Wait, open... What are you doing? Open this. Thank you. And now, with everything that we have done, we have completed the first of the major sections of the hub. We're going to be entering... There's a save right there. That's the boss save, because we're entering our first boss of the game, which every boss has a, like I was saying, a death puzzle, and they also have a fight. That stuff on the... I think the boss is behind me, but that's the death puzzle on the wall. All it says is you need like a guiding light or something. I don't remember the exact text, but you're supposed to use Huey to discover the path for you. If you do not use Huey, you will die casually. However, the path's always the same, so we can just run through it. We don't have to worry about Huey finding us the path because, well, I already know the path. And now we can get the key to the second hub. But we're going to be entering the first boss, which the first boss is going to happen very quickly. And it's very specific on how we're going to set this up. The fight begins. I'm going to tell Huey to wait. And then by telling Huey to stay, I'm going to run over to the left chandelier. I'm going to tell him to wait again. And I'm going to hope I get punched. All right, he has broken the left chandelier. We're going to run over to the right chandelier. I kick a couple times. We get a ram. I'm going to hide behind it. And that's the whole fight. There we go. I'm joking? Oh, no, I'm not joking. I'm pretty sure that Fiona probably does have, like, some kind of issues. Like, she has painfully low stamina, and the game kind of paints it that she's not the pinnacle of health. Anyway, in terms of the fight, we did a very specific manipulation to get Debilitus immediately on us and Huey not to interrupt the fight. In doing so, we end the fight very early by sparing Debilitus, which goes to ending A. That fight is a lot tougher casually because you might try killing Debilitus, you won't know exactly how to set him up. In doing so, we can get that pretty much instantly. All right, and now we get fed some bad soup, and we have to go back to the room. This kind of introduces the second character in the game, the next pursuer. Every hub is going to have a new pursuer. Debilitus is alive. He is our friend, so we did not kill him. Starting now, though, they're going to get a lot more evil. We're going to meet probably everyone's favorite character if you know Haunting Ground. If you don't know Haunting Ground, maybe you'll fall in love. I don't know. Maybe you will. But our next character is going to be Daniela. Daniela is the housemaid, and let's just say she's very envious of Fiona. Fiona has a really cool frog costume, and Daniela's jealous that she can't wear the frog costume. So let's just say she wants to wear our frog costume. You can see she started pointing at us, but unfortunately we only brought one, so we're gonna have to run away. It's pretty funny because we can lose Daniela very quickly, and you might remember this is the path we took earlier. This is how we got to that piano room before in the garden. Also, we lose Daniela almost immediately because Daniela is not into climbing ladders. She gets bored very quickly. It's like, oh, well, okay, fine. I guess I don't want it that badly. Like, it's around. She thought about it. Also, I haven't really shown this off, but we have a moment in time. Actually, I'll do it later because we'll have a better moment. But you may remember I unlocked this door. This is a shortcut that brings me back to the door I was trying to go to earlier, which is the entrance to the second hub. And look, there's Daniela. She's just cleaning. She's just chilling. She's really into that block. But she may have heard us because once we open this door, Daniela's going to remember how cool her frog costume is. And... oh, hey, look, there we go. She's back. Luckily for us, Daniela is going to be pretty easy to get rid of in the beginning. All we have to do is run up here, and this is kind of the tutorial. What's going to happen is we're going to see a mirror, and then Daniela's going to freak out. Why? She doesn't like mirrors. I think she doesn't like her own reflection, but, you know, same. Sure, why not? Same. We get rid of her. She will spawn again pretty quickly, though, so we do have to be careful. And right now, we're going to be entering the one time we have a little bit of waiting where we don't really have anything to do. So, what are we going to do during this time? There is a puzzle. If you remember that blue ball in the beginning and, like, we didn't really talk to, that is something called a luminescent. It is a ball of light. So, what we're going to do is open all these doors. And look, there it is. We're going to see if we can find Huey.
Come on.
Every time he barks, he'll get a good boy.
Come on. Good boy. Come on.
So, I talked about this earlier, but Huey needs to be trained. So what I'm doing is I'm giving him random commands and then rewarding him for the commands, and that'll make Huey just a little bit more obedient. It is one of the only times in the run we get to train Huey, and it's pretty nice in how we get to do it. Anyway, also, the frog costume, you can actually do this, where you squat down like a little frog. It's pretty fun. Okay. So, now we have solved the puzzle. We're entering Daniela territory. This is where a lot of runs can get very wrong pretty quickly. If music is not playing, I should be very worried. I'm looking for ambient noise kind of like that going on right now. Hopefully Huey will follow me. I do want to call him at certain points. I've done some recent changes in the route where hopefully if we do this right, Daniela won't follow us. All right, I think I hear Huey. This room should not have any calls because Daniela is right there. But if we do this right, we should be okay as long as Huey stays next to us. So, for those of you who've been watching the whole run, you may have remembered in the very beginning of the run, I made a bunch of different plates. I made all these items that were like, you know, salt, sulfur, mercury. We can now use those. That was a puzzle right here. So instead of having to worry about making this a whole thing, instead, we can just do this. As well, one of those is too high, so we do get a cutscene. Maybe you could look it up. We can't play it, unfortunately. But Huey actually goes up there, and he just throws it in for us, making an ice wall. We do have to be quite careful right here because we still need Huey and we cannot have Daniela spawn at all. Daniela is probably one of the meaner psychopaths of the game. We have to be very careful about how she acts. I guess she's stalker, pursuer. I don't know the exact word they use. I want to say it's pursuer in this game. Either way, I still don't want Daniela spawning because she can, and it can get pretty bad. I also need Huey to follow me. There is also slight RNG with that blue ball that we just dodged. What luck is that? Okay, if that hit me, Daniela would have immediately spawned, so I'm very glad it did not hit us. This is a puzzle room, which it's funny because this isn't going to look like much. But if you're playing this game casually and you click on even one of the wrong options, you immediately die. It is immediate death. It's kind of silly. It's not going to look like a whole lot here because, you know, we just clicked the right options. But, yeah, if you do that wrong, it's just death. Anyway, I have a luminescent following me. Hopefully he will be quick. This is a very important thing here. Looks like Huey's right here.
Go.
We're gonna command him to go on this one. Hopefully he'll be good.
Go.
Well, he solved the whole puzzle. Huey, go to this one. Go to this one. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Thank you. Wait, he missed. Okay, we got it. Okay, we solved the puzzle with Huey. Hopefully we have enough time. I did not want that blue ball hitting me. Actually, that's a good spot. And hopefully we hear no music on the way out. If we hear music on the way out, this gets really bad. All right, we're golden. That's perfect. And now we get to see some pretty cool setup. So all that setup I was talking about with Stalker Timers was leading to get into this room, because this room has the ultimate key that is going to let us go into the back half of the second hub. We get a mandrake, it's going to scream, we'll go panic. I grabbed this item earlier, we're going to use it to reduce panic. And now, if everything is right, Daniela is actually going to spawn in this next room. Oh no, Daniela is here. Whatever can we do? We're gonna run through 2 rooms. Remember what I talked about with certain puzzle rooms removing stalkers? So once we enter this room, Daniela is now gone. She got lost very quickly. Again, she is really losing the lack of focus on this on wanting the frog costume. Since this is a puzzle room that she's not meant to enter yet, we simply solve the puzzle, and now we're down here. And the last thing is we will put in the RRL. This is for the golem, who now can march. He goes in the direction which he put in, which is right, left. How often do I play this game? I think I don't remember how many hours. It's one of my most played speedruns. I speedrun a lot of games. I have about 200 of them. And I do a lot of Haunting Ground. I actually recently got world record back in this category after not having it for 3 years. I think it's something like 300 hours. Maybe 300, 400. Might be, I think, about that much. Also, the golem has walked into meth. And once again, meth kills. Don't do meth. He died. He walked into meth and then he literally died. So if you're wondering, well, what's with the meth thing? Because obviously that's weird, right? It's weird that you have meth in a game. Meth is actually the Hebrew word for death. So if you know, I guess, Hebrew, you actually have an advantage in this game, because you will know that in alchemy, meth is death. And that same thing, E-meth is life. In the beginning of the game, you can actually use E-meth, and it'll bring the golem, it'll animate him and bring him to life, and then he'll start moving. But if you're wondering, it's faster to type meth than type E-meth, so that's why we give him meth. All right. We've done a lot of our puzzles, and now we're hitting the death puzzle. This is another one of those puzzles where you really need Huey. This one's actually really mean too, especially casually, because it can go very wrong and you can only make 3 mistakes. That being said, you can probably take a wild guess what's about to happen here. But once you enter this room, there's going to be a knight's armor and a bunch of tiles. It is always the same path. Normally you need Huey to give you the path, but just so we can get back here safer, I'm going to now disable it. And oh hey look, Huey wasn't here for the Huey puzzle. Hooray. There is a save here because there's a boss fight coming up, and this boss fight is where a lot of the game's action is going to happen. We're hitting the beginning of RNG hell. There's a lot of RNG in this speedrun, and we're about to see what happens. It is the boss fight with Daniela, and we need to push blocks. Meanwhile, Huey and Daniela are going to have the ultimate duel. So we're hoping for 2 things here. We're hoping that Daniela is nice and that Huey is mean. I want Huey to be a bully, and I want Daniela to be lazy. Which so far, she's getting kind of angry. Huey is also being... this is weird. I don't know. We'll take it. Well, you know, why not? We'll take it. So, we want Huey to do enough damage to where Daniela will get knocked down. However, I must be careful about where she gets knocked down. That might be a good spot she gets knocked down right now. Will it? Maybe. One more. There we go. Okay, this is actually a really good fight. Huey is a very good boy. You know what? You might even tell him good boy if we have time when before she gets up. So she can't actually die to physical damage. You need to push the blocks and then get her to stand in the middle. But having her disabled for a little bit there is good. And actually perfect timing. That is the Daniela fight. What a fight. So if you remember right, Daniela is not a fan of her own reflection. It's kind of her whole arc. She really does not like seeing herself. By turning on the lights, we get to see above her, and her voice pierces the glass, and now she, very angelic death there. And now we hit the worst part of the run. We're about to meet a very bad man, which I need to make an emote for this on my own stream because I've been meaning to, but I have a better Twitch TV emote I like to post here. We're gonna meet our friend Ricardo. So Ricardo is very different from everyone else we've met so far, and he's actually going to be the stalker for pretty much the rest of the game, which is going to be kind of funny here. Everything that I've been panicking about, and the reason why we're not allowed to pet Huey, is actually because of Ricardo. So you may be wondering, what's with this Ricardo guy? So, Debilitus was using his bare hands because, you know, he's not really a bad guy. He's more like the guy from Of Mice and Men, you know, like Lenny. He's more like him. Daniela used a shard of glass. Ricardo, is taking this a lot more seriously than the other two. So, instead of using his bare hands or a piece of glass, he's using a gun. Guns hurt. So Ricardo can get very bad very quickly if you're not careful. Also, most of the boss fights are simple because in terms of the speed run, we know exactly what to do. A lot of these fights are meant to be puzzle fights, and when you know the answer to the puzzle, it's pretty quick to fight. So we need to get rid of Ricardo ASAP. We need him gone. There's a risky strat you can do here. We're not going to do that because earlier I grabbed an item called Morgan, which makes me invisible. I actually need Ricardo to see me, though. There we go. And now Ricardo is gone. There's a trap door. He walks into it, and then he falls down like a cartoon. So, with Ricardo, the rules change a little bit here. Also, I need Huey to be a good boy. Huey, get in there.
Go, Huey.
Hey, get in there. All right, he's doing it. So, the rules are going to change a little bit right now. I cannot make any significant noise. For this game, Ricardo has the ears of, like, an elephant? I don't, who has good ears? Elephants? I don't actually know. I was gonna say a hawk, but I think hawks have eyes. So, an elephant. If you make any significant noise, Ricardo will immediately spawn. You do have some leeway with enemy encounters, which we actually get new enemies. They're called the homunculus. These little baby men, when they grab you, they'll scream. Obviously, that's not going to be good, but Ricardo doesn't immediately spawn for them, probably because he doesn't care about them. But if we kick any of the doors in the game now, Ricardo will spawn. So you may have noticed I'm no longer kicking doors. That is why. This is one of the only areas of the game that it does not matter what door it is, you cannot kick it. I also need Huey to be good, which so far he's been very good. Yeah, he's following, that's good. We're going to have the homunculus right here. We're just going to kick it. And then Huey's actually doing really good. Like, I don't even need to call him. And this guy, look at him, he's following us dead on. Like, where is this Huey when I'm grinding out PB attempts? All right, there's Huey. It does not look like the homunculus is near. Hey, look, we're back in the graveyard. You may remember this from earlier, same graveyard from earlier. We're going to command Huey to go into that grave, and now we don't need Huey for the rest of the stage. Which, hey, that's actually, Huey did great. That was really good. We can give Huey a verbal good boy. Fiona won't say it, but we can say it. Maybe Twitch chat can tell Huey good boy, because he has. This is actually very shocking. Normally, Huey is one of the worst boys, but today he's been a good boy. Anyway, we'll let Huey chill. And the rules will still apply the same as they've been. I have to be very careful not to make too much noise. So I'm going to keep an eye out for these little homunculus babies. We need to make sure they're not going to get us. If you're wondering, what did Huey grab? He grabbed a bunch of rocks. This is an alchemy puzzle. I actually don't really know how you're meant to do this outside of trial and error. Like, whenever I did this, it was always brute force. So, oh, I got baby man. Hold on. Okay. Well, hopefully Ricardo doesn't show up. I got double baby man. That's really bad. Huey had his first bad boy moment. He could have hit the baby man for me. But it looks like Ricardo's not near, so maybe this will be okay. Anyway, what you have to do here is actually the order of the machines. You must always do the same exact order. You start on this one, you'll get an upgraded rock. We can then go to the next rock. By the way, if you try putting it in the wrong order, it just tells you, oh, it didn't do anything. On the upside, since I got grabbed by both baby men, I don't have to worry about them later. And it doesn't seem like Ricardo's coming, so that's pretty solid. We had one bad part of the run so far, which I would say is that. All right, there's two. Get a new rock, and it's funny because you may have noticed the third machine already. Right before we did that water puzzle with Daniela, it was like the weird valve thing. We had another one of these machines, and if we go through this door, we'll actually backtrack all the way back to Daniela's hub, which is the longest of the sections. It's at this point where you may have noticed that New Game Plus is very important because you would have ran out of stamina several times at this point. And either one, you'd have to slowly walk to recover it, or just take the chamomile medicine, which unfortunately for us, we don't get a whole lot of. I thought there were more, it'd be a lot easier, but you just don't get a whole lot of them. The game also seems like seemingly random on how it regenerates, so it's annoying, which is why New Game Plus is the preferred category. All right, and with that, we got the full puzzle. All we have to do is now head to the exit door of this hub. And yeah, no, we're pretty much golden. This has been very solid so far. However, it's not done yet. I did mention with Daniela begins the area of RNG hell. Daniela is not the only problem. Now, obviously, if Ricardo shows up, that's bad. He didn't, which is good. But other things that can happen here. The forest. The forest is one of the most awkward areas in any game I've ever played, because once you enter the forest, you have a set path. However, it's always random, and the randomness is kind of brutal. I think it goes something like random, not random, random, not random, where you're looking for certain exits, but you don't always get them. So we'll see how bad it is. Anyway, we can now deposit the rock. That works on the scale, which will then open the front door. All right down here, we're simply going to run into the forest. Huey actually is going to be lost in the forest, and you can save him to really raise up your dog level. We won't need that, though, and actually saving Huey spawns Ricardo, so we don't want that either. What we're looking for is just the exit. So we're going to start going down this path. It'll give us two random paths. Hopefully we get a good path. I'm going to guess left. Maybe. This could be a good path. I'm going to guess down. And then maybe left. Maybe. No. Maybe right. Nope. Maybe it was left. Hold on. Maybe I should have just stuck with it. Maybe it was left. I thought that was the bush path. Maybe this isn't the bush path. Maybe a different one. I got double bushed. What? I didn't think you could get double bush like that. What? Huh. I thought there's only one bush. I guess there's two. Maybe it was left path. Maybe up path? Hey, okay, we're good. All right, we got up path. That is the forest. If you're wondering, there are 3 entrances, and it's always random. You don't know what it's going to be. You just kind of have to take a guess. And now I can truly show you how evil Ricardo is. Ricardo was such a bad guy. He's such a villain. Remember how Daniela wanted our frog suit, but she didn't have the willingness to follow through because she's not that heartless? Ricardo stole our frog costume, and now I have to wear a pretty dress. If you're wearing any costume, it'll default to this outfit instead, no matter what you're doing. So Ricardo actually stole the frog costume for the rest of the run, and we can't get it back. Also, to add insult to injury, not only did he steal our frog costume, he put "Don't see Ricardo juice" in our eyes, which, as you can probably guess, it prevents us from seeing Ricardo. He is now invisible. Why did he do this? I don't know, maybe he thought it'd be funny. He thought it was a fun prank. Takes your frog costume, puts the "don't see" juice in your eyes. Now, the upside here is that luckily Huey can see him, so if we need Huey to defend us, he still can. Now, it's kind of funny because this is one of the hardest sections of the run. You have to climb a tower and you have nowhere to hide, and Ricardo will keep spawning, like right here. However, there's something really cheeky about this game. For some reason, whenever you swap elevation too much, Ricardo just gets bored. I mean, his whole plan is to kidnap you and steal your Razod. You don't think he would get bored, but yeah, no, he's gone. We are now safe for the time being by simply running back down. So you run up, spawn Ricardo, run down, and then he's gone. I do need Huey to follow me. I don't think he is. This could be kind of bad. There he is.
Huey.
Not his finest performance, but at least it's not the worst. We also need this because it's going to move the ground, and Huey would be unable to get up here if we did, and we do need him very much right now.
Huey.
We're going to have another neat little trick. In a moment, Ricardo's going to hit us with a really funny jump scare, and he's going to try chasing us again. However, the fact that I told you he was going to hit us with the jump scare means that we're ready for it, and we can actually animation cancel it by just doing this. And then we run back down. And then we run back up. And Ricardo once again got bored. He was very upset that you didn't like his trick, so he left. He left ashamed and sad. Okay, so Ricardo's last trick. He thought this would be really funny in the last part of the tower climb. Well, we have 2 more parts, but the last, let's say, Ricardo part of the tower climb for a little bit here. There was a bunch of luminescence, the blue balls. We cannot let those hit us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to step right here. I'm going to aggro them, and we're just going to kind of walk until we have a nice little path, and then we're going to run around them. Huey's following us, and at this point, enough time has passed. Ricardo should spawn in a moment, which is actually really bad. But luckily for us, there's a puzzle at the top. And if you remember how puzzle interactions work, the music starts and immediately ends. He got bored again. He's just, she's upstairs. I can't get her now. You know, lost my chance. And now we have a Huey puzzle. So, we need Huey to be a good boy. We need to have him go to the light, then we go to the next light. I'm actually going to give Huey commands in the middle, make sure he stays where he is. It's going to be Huey, me, and I'll keep going back and forth until we have all the lights on. Huey can get quite excited here, which will not be good, but I think we should be okay. Like, so far, Huey's been very good. Huey's doing perfect. We should have this. And one more. And hey, perfect Huey puzzle. Very nice. Okay, so the whole reason why someone joked about this earlier in chat, where they joked that Fiona must have steel-toed boots. You may notice right now Fiona is barefoot, which is probably never a way you want to do GDQ commentary. That probably should never be something that comes out of your mouth. But you may notice that she's currently barefoot. You're going to see probably one of the most horrifying images in any game that's ever been on the crypt. But part of the puzzle requires us to break this rock wall. Fiona's going to kick it with her bare feet 3 times, and then it shatters. That is the power of Azoth. There's also an item I grabbed earlier. We'll put it in here, solving the puzzle, and it spawns a bridge. And now we have the Ricardo boss fight. The Ricardo boss fight's really hard if you don't know what you're doing. If you know what you're doing, we're going to tell Huey to go in this hole. I already broke the little hole in the wall. That is actually going to be how we instantly kill Ricardo. You can instantly kill him if you know what you're doing. I'm going to throw a kick, maybe. I throw a kick at me. Hold on. And yeah, no, Huey just killed him. Huey is biting him, and the attack is actually going to make him fall off the entire tower. There is a really funny cutscene I like showing my own Twitch channel. If you want to see it and we run this game, you can ask there, because I cannot show it on GDQ. It might be a little bit risque. You kind of just going to see, let's just say the end of Ricardo. But hey, you can check me out on Twitch if you want to see that cutscene. Anyway, Ricardo is now dead. He fell off a tower. Gravity got him. Let's just say he also had his soup stolen from him. That's a good way of putting it. Because there's one other villain we have not talked about. The game's primary villain and the reason why this is all happening. We are going to meet our final boss, Lorenzo. Now, Lorenzo's actually a menace. He is an old man, and he has multiple phases. He starts old, and then as he gains more Azoth, he actually becomes young and very powerful. There's actually some real problems with Lorenzo, and if we have something really funny happen, he'll one-shot us in the final fight. But we're gonna have something really goofy. And it's kind of funny because, for the most part, you would argue this has been a pretty straightforward speedrun, not a whole lot of glitchy tech. If you watched that Dead Space 2 run earlier, that was glitchy. This game, however, does have some glitches. You haven't really seen a whole lot of them, but it's kind of funny because all of the, like, really wild speed techs at the end of the game. First off, Huey did such a good job, I'm gonna let him keep the tower. Huey's gonna stay at the top of the tower, and all his. Yeah, he's got it. All right, Huey, you can live up here forever now. You've earned the tower. All yours. Make sure to write sometime. Huey will now live in the tower, and we're gonna progress forward to the end of the game. Don't worry, Huey will be back. He has magic. But you may have noticed that every section in the game, what happens is you wander around, you summon the Stalker, and then once the Stalker is summoned, you have to do like little fights in between. Normally what Lorenzo has is you summon him. He's actually a pretty aggressive enemy. He starts off, kind of just crawling after you. And then as his fight progresses, he gets more and more dangerous. So he'll start crawling after you faster. You have a mini boss fight with him, and then he gets young. And then you have a whole other section where he chases you, and then you have an old boss fight with him. What's gonna happen though is something kind of strange, and it's something we haven't talked about yet. Haunting Ground has pursuers, and all enemies are categorized as pursuers. Do you remember those little balls of light? This whole game, they are also pursuers. They're not big pursuers. Actually, they dive, left unattended to, but they are pursuers. So they count as chasing us. If we go all the way down these stairs into the next room, Lorenzo will spawn. I don't want that. So I'm gonna grab this candle and we're just gonna run back up. In order to get to the next part, you need a pursuer to chase you while obtaining the candle. Inside of this vase is a luminescent. Now, I just told you, luminescents are pursuers. So what's going to happen is a little funny, because instead of having Lorenzo chase us here and then having to have little panic events, well, I'm gonna show this off. This happens. So we light the candle. Also, I can drink my boba. I've had boba this whole time. You actually hear Lorenzo right now. and oh no, who's attacking Fiona? It's a ghost. Now, at this point, you're supposed to get phase 2 of Lorenzo, where he's more aggressive. But we never spawned in Lorenzo. We spawned in a Luminescent. And this cutscene is supposed to have Lorenzo, and he's getting madder, and he's going to start crawling after you more aggressively. You can actually hear him right now. And look, here's our ultimate villain. What flavor? Thai milk tea. It's an empty hallway. Oh my god. Yeah, so Lorenzo's not spawned in. He's just not in the game right now. And it's kind of funny because when you enter this room, you're supposed to get into a boss fight. However, I now don't need to do the boss fight because Lorenzo never spawned in. You are supposed to hit this machine, which will kill Lorenzo, at least for a phase. I actually don't care about that. However, by hitting the machine, I have now spawned back Huey. You can just leave the room if you want, but we need back Huey. And this way is a lot safer. We are now in the final hub, and it's kind of weird because we already know what to do. If you look around, you can find a lot of rooms, like a lot of puzzle rooms. They just give you lore. The actual final hub is very quick. You only need to go to the final boss room, find out you're missing an item, and then once you are there, you can just find the item and get ready for the final boss. See, there's Huey. Also, at this point in the game, Huey is very obedient, so he should be good. Now, the final boss can get pretty risky. I actually have a safety save ready. I always have it just in case, because the final boss does have a one-shot attack. It will one-hit kill you no matter what health you're at. If that happens, you're very unlucky, and it does suck, but it can happen. Anyway, for us, the item's right here. I actually don't even need Huey to detect it. I can just find it, and then Huey will dig it out. And earlier, we mentioned how Fiona has these, like, you know, like, iron feet. These iron feet are going to come in handy, because earlier in the game, I equipped an item. There are 3 types of items in the game. You have necklaces, earrings, and boots. You may notice she's barefoot, but she's not without feet. I equipped an item called Powder, and Powder has an RNG chance to do a lot of damage. So now for the final boss, I'm going to have Huey attack, and I'm going to kick him repeatedly in his Azoth until he dies. Ideally, I would hope Powder will get explosions like that, because that is a ton of damage. One might say his Twiggen berries. There is a better way of doing this fight. However, if you want to get a good time, you must do it this way. It's funny because the only thing doing damage is Huey and the explosions. However, if I get like 6 explosions, you get world record. Now, if you're wondering why he's so strong, Lorenzo has been alive for 2,000 years, and he has been training for this exact moment. All right, the really good fight. Yeah, Lorenzo is now dead. But however, we must escape the castle. It is now breaking, and we're going to have a chase section. You can die here. It can get really bad. There will be earthquakes. If they happen, Fiona will fall down. So, instead of waiting for the earthquakes, I'm actually going to do some cheeky tech. When they're happening, I'm going to throw a ram. It'll... Oh, I missed it. That's fine. Alright, not the end of the world. A little bit bad, but not the end. Normally, you can cancel, like I said, a little bit too early. And we're going to just mash the buttons here. Mash every button. All right, there we go. One more. Oh, yeah, it's fine. Not in the end of the world. Anyway, quick question. Y'all ever see the movie Man on Fire? Because Lorenzo's not doing too hot, or let's say he's doing very hot. He's he's kind of crispy right now. You know, I'm not gonna lie. This is kind of me during the summer, like. He's kind of a relatable guy, you know? Anyway, I feel bad for Fiona because it's probably absolutely horrifying. But yeah, now Lorenzo's dead. We're gonna take the key. Wait, no, we don't need the key. You just leave. And GG. I forgot we don't need a key from that. I don't know why I thought we needed a key. Sorry, I was thinking of the man on fire thing. Anyway, he's dead. That's time, by the way. Sorry, I think I should call it better. Yeah, that's Haunting Ground. Pretty solid run. Honestly, it probably would have been. I don't think it would have been a record, but it probably would have been something like maybe a 57 something.
Thanks, Huey.
That definitely could have been like close to record if I didn't watch cutscenes. As well, I think we watched the a couple of cutscenes in the end there. Yeah, that has been Haunting Ground. It is a very cool game, a little bit of neat tech. I hope you all enjoyed it. I love running this game. It's actually one of my favorite GDQ runs I've ever done. If you have never seen it on the GDQ, I ran it back then. And actually, funny enough, I actually submitted this game, and I'll be going to Japan very soon to run in the event RTA in Japan, where I'll be racing this game against a Japanese speedrunner named Swordfish. And I'm very excited for that, so it should be a lot of fun. It's kind of weird too, because Haunting Ground does not have a lot of runners, but that does not mean it does not have a lot of competition. Just recently, I was able to get world record back after 3 years of grinding for it. And it's kind of been this back and forth. It's pretty optimized, but I know it can go lower. Yeah, but that was Haunting Ground. If you're wondering, Debilitus gets to live, since he is our friend. We let Debilitus keep the castle, and we get a free dog. And I guess Debilitus could find the frog costume somewhere in there. You know how it is. Yeah, we get our freedom. Also, she's just walking out without shoes. She didn't even bother finding anything. She's just walking out. And Debilitus is going to do what he does best. I guess gardening. Anyway, this game does have an in-game timer, but it's not exactly reliable. So we can just watch Debilitus here for a little bit. He's going to be, you know, he's gardening. He's just chilling. See, he gets a nice little, he gets a mansion. He gets to garden for the rest of his life and eat, like, I actually don't know what he eats. I assume he kind of eats the wild animals, but, you know what? That's all him right there. But yeah, we can skip the cutscenes here. We can get the final screen. And yeah, that was Haunting Ground. I have been your runner, Rickdices. If you like this run, come check me out on Twitch sometime, or YouTube, or any of that stuff. I do a lot of Haunting Ground stuff. Big fan of the game, and I do a lot of horror games in general. I'm actually learning a bunch of them right now because I speedrun about 200 different games, most of them horror games. So yeah, thank you all for watching that, and I hope you enjoyed this run on Haunting Ground. And I guess, funny enough, it's a lot easier to swap from runner to host because I've also been your host, Igdices, and this has been Speedruns from the Crypt. We do run this show every couple of weeks. It is always fun to put on these horror games. I do hope that you enjoy them. It's kind of nice to say welcome back from SGDQ. Hope you all enjoyed that event, and hope you enjoy all that GDQ has to offer with many of our Hotfix shows. We had some fun runs tonight. If you are ever wondering how the Crypt works, I mentioned I'm Igdices. We have all the shows on YouTube. As well, just for a couple of last-minute announcements here. Thank you to anyone who does support the GDQ Hotfix with subs, Prime Gaming, gift subs, or bits. They do keep the show going, so thank you for that. As well, if you miss any of the Hotfix shows, you can stay tuned for a replay of our first show, Crosshair, and you can check out this show as well after a break. I'll play the replay, and we'll have more shows coming out this week. So, hope you have a wonderful rest of the day or night, and take it easy.